Don't you dare, ref. That's, he got the ball. Sorry about that. I was just trying to hide my face to save the embarrassment from yesterday's defeat. Absolutely embarrassment. To be honest with you, I'm still really, really angry at Tottenham Hotspur. I find myself sitting here disillusioned with the club right now, to be quite frank. You know, I know why I do it. I love it. You know, I love supporting Tottenham Hotspur, but the pain it gives me, I'm just not sure it's worth it anymore, to be quite frank. You know, the name of the game of football is winning, and we just find excuses not to win. Even, you know, when you're playing a team that hasn't won a game of football all season long, struggling to get over the line, their goalkeeper has been so rocky at the back for them, cost them a lot of games this season, and we make him look like fucking Manuel Neuer by pumping the ball into his arms, and we barely test them. Really, really disillusioned, you know, and it's the same old problems, lack of leadership. Yeah, look, I understand people saying, you know, maybe a change in manager. I fully understand. I'm not going to argue with anybody over that. At the end of the day, more than entitled to your opinion. But I'm just one of them. You know, I feel like sacking a manager, I think bringing another manager, only going to get another initial manager bounce. Do we want to keep relying on that at Tottenham, or do we want to build something? But again, it doesn't make it right. You know, maybe Ange isn't the right man for the job. But look, that's why we're here today. We're here to speak to people, see what their feelings are. There's a lot of, I've looked around, I've seen a lot of fans' reactions to the game, and everybody's angry. So if anyone's tuning in here for anything positive or to cling on to tonight, I think this is the wrong show for you, quite frank. I don't think it's going to be like that. You know, everyone's angry after the Ipswich game, and I fully understand, and it's fully justified. I'm just angry. So, look, for me, what really hurts the most, actually, is thinking about this last night. You know, if we were tactically outclassed and the opposition manager, say, to a certain degree, done something amazing, you know, to spring up a winner, I could say, do you know what? I don't like the defeat, but fair play to the other manager, and I can take it on the chin or I can deal with it a little bit better. But when we were outrun, and a team down in the relegation zone shows more hunger and desire for 3 points, even though we had a chance to propel ourselves into a position to be able to try and, make a go of this season, and we crumble, that's what hurts the most. And you know what even hurts more? Sonny being rolled out yesterday, and as club captain, fair enough. He's got to come out and do it and apologize to the fans. The same old shit. We need to do this better. We need to do that better. We need to show more hunger, desire. And same with Ange Postecoglou. I'm absolutely fed up with it. I'm done with it. I don't want to hear it anymore. Just show me the actions on the football pitch. And that's the problem. They think by doing that, coming out, doing that in the press, it buys them time. That's their action. That's their duty done. It's not good enough anymore. I'm sick of it. I want to see change on the fucking football pitch. I want to see consistency. The lack of consistency is killing me. How can we go from beating Man City and Aston Villa to losing to Ipswich Town? Seriously, and look, I'm not trying to discredit Ipswich here. They've had a remarkable rise in football. They've done some very smart recruitment of young players like the Lap, Hutchinson, Leif Davies is gathering a lot of attention. But we're fucking Tottenham Hotspur. We should be beating them if we're trying to live up to our aspirations. Every single one of them players, manager as well, all came out at the start of the season, putting out that rhetoric. We want trophies. Okay, well, consistency and leadership is a massive part of going on to win trophies. So if that's not in the dressing room, keep your mouth buttoned. I'm absolutely fed up with it. I'm sick of it. Jack, anything you want to say before we welcome people in? Just start firing into the guests. Not firing into them, but sorry, let them fire into us.
No, beautifully, perfectly put once again, Dave. I think everything you said there,
angry, man.
A lot of people will agree with you, and maybe just embarrassing result, one of the more embarrassing results I think we've had in a long time, because a lot of us were going into the Galatasaray game kind of expecting a defeat of some sort. We knew it was going to be difficult, but it was kind of an anticipation that we were going to pick up a really good, convincing win against Ipswich Town. Ended up kind of practically assuming that Spurs were going to win it. It seemed like it was a definite that they would have to win it and that they will win it. And yet they just got completely outplayed from pretty much minute 1 through minute 90. And there was no hope of us pretty much getting back into that game. And it's just setting ourselves up for embarrassment once again. And like you said, to go from the highs of Aston Villa and Manchester City to the lows of this, it really is Spurs in a nutshell. But I think a lot of us have once again been relatively broken by it. It's just, it kind of breaks your spirit, it breaks your soul a little bit, and it kind of makes it difficult to pick yourself up back together. And I guess that's what international breaks are for, and kind of what these fan shows are for to a degree. But it does make it hard because, Dave, it's like being just, completely just knocked to the floor after, thinking you had just won the fight. Basically, you think you're at the top of the world, and then someone just completely sucker punches you, and then you're down at the bottom of the mountain again. It's just one of those kind of back-to-back weeks.
And that's it as well. I don't want to hear any more. We're from now on, just take each game as it comes and win each game as it comes. I don't want any more of this. We'll hold a player back for the weekend, because when they can't guarantee or come in and do what they're supposed to do, it doesn't work. So I don't want to see that anymore. Something my dad said to me after the sort of Galatasaray game, you got to prioritize each game as it comes, not pick and choose which ones you want to win. I think he's absolutely spot on with that. But after Ipswich Town, it's a game where there's no hiding place for anybody. There's no hiding place for them players. I don't want to see any excuses made for them. They've got to take full accountability. It's times like this where they have to hear the fans' voice. They have to hear the fans' pain. And it's up to them whether they want to take it on board or not. Postecoglou, there's no hiding place either. I don't care who you are. You don't lose to Ipswich Town. You affect the game earlier with changes at halftime when you see it's not going right. Earlier in the game when you see it's not going right. And quite simply, you got to motivate your players. That's Palace. That's Ipswich Town now. Against the smaller teams, we lack something. So I want to see he's got to change that. In terms of leadership. Okay, if there's none in the group, then you're going to have to roll your sleeves up, change your management style, get in there, grab a grip of the situation. You become the leader then, until leaders start emerging once they follow your directive. I was listening to something else the other day, and it wasn't actually to do with Tottenham Hotspur as well. It's something I've sort of been thinking about since, Jack. Is, they were on about Amorim and his sporting team, and, they talked about Pochettino, his players, Klopp, his players, Guardiola, his players. We have that connection between management and squad. Right now, when I look at that, I'm not sure that's as strong as we like it to be either. There's definitely something going on with James Madison. I won't have anybody tell me otherwise. Didn't play against Man
There's a
City.
talking point.
Came off the bench, 2 minutes to go against Aston Villa? 89 minutes yesterday, he came off the bench. So there's something going on there.
Subbed
I'd
against
like to know what it is.
Galatasaray, subbed early.
Yeah, and also for Daniel Levy, because to a certain degree, I'm going to maintain, I do think he let Postecoglou down in the transfer window. I think he went a different direction rather than bringing in some of the players that we all knew we needed, experienced Premier League sort of players, or proven players to be able to push this project forward. No problem with signing young players. I'm a big advocate for it, but you also have to, and I maintain this over the course of the summer, you also have to bring in the right players to affect your first 11 to a large degree. The only player that we've really brought in here to affect the first 11 over the summer was Dom Solanke. Apart from that, it's pretty much what we've seen last season. So, they also have to take an account. And they're also in a sticky situation because you keep firing managers. It keeps sending out the wrong tone to the dressing room that they can just perform in that when and when they want to. You stick by a manager and it doesn't go right, and this keeps happening. You're going to get it off the fan base. So they're in a precarious position. I don't know what they're going to do to navigate their way out of this one, but it's just not good enough from everybody, from top to bottom. It's absolutely piss poor. And the only ones that get embarrassed is us fans. We're the only one that feels it. And most people at that club, bar, people that work in and around the club, I suppose, in terms of match day staff, maybe people that work, patrolling the car park and in and around the training ground. A lot of them, they have a connection to the club. But a lot of the people in the positions that can actually take this club forward, like some manager, players, stuff like that, they don't have connection to this club the way we do. They don't feel that badge the way we do. They don't feel the pain of the results the way we do. Yeah. So, it's about time they start playing for us fans. If they don't want to do it for themselves or anybody else, at least do it for us fans and stop making excuses to us. Stop lying to us. That's all you're doing. When you come out making apologies now, I just take it as a lie. I'm like, bore, yawn. I've seen it before. I know 3 weeks down the line, they're going to let me down again. So it means nothing anymore. It absolutely means nothing. But look, I'm sure everyone has their own different parts of where the blame for yesterday goes. So we'll get into it and we'll listen to them and see what they have to say. If there's that you want to say about yesterday's game, anything you disagree with me or Jack over in general, feel free. Come on and have your say, guys. The link is up in the community section for all the fan show members. So just click on it. Come on and have your say. We will welcome some people in and we'll crack on. First of all, happy birthday to you, Rhino. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big 33rd birthday to you. I know it's your birthday today. Jack reminded me actually the other day. Fair play to him. Look, lad, I'm with you. That I don't disagree with you on the lack of trophies. I've never disagreed with anybody on that. I've always maintained football's about winning trophies. We don't do enough of that at Tottenham. So definitely don't disagree with you on that. And I feel the pain for sure, Rhino. Just a harmless potato. Good evening, all. Big up Dave and Jack on the panel. Good to see you. We also have Ribsy in the house. Great to see you. Adrian Schrock as well. Good to see you. Eddie the Eagle as well. He says it takes a lot to get me pissed, and this game has done it. I've been broken, my holiday ruined. I think many people's time is being ruined right now. Just quickly, I know there's a lot of people still trying to get in the back end. StreamYard only holds up to 10 people at a time. It's already full, but once we start getting people on and off, it'll open it back up again, free spaces. So just try again and come in and have your say. We've got DB in the house, says, hope you're all good, Dave and Jack. I'm 100% of the PR Spurs fan wagon. Time for change, albeit it's not coming anytime soon. And that's the thing, that's where I'm sort of at. Don't get me wrong, I agree with a lot of, people's sentiments towards the owners and that. But, at the end of the day, we're talking billions of pounds here. There's only a few people that have that in the world, right? And they ain't going anywhere until they get the right price for it. So it's just, I'm hoping that, all these investment rumors, something comes of it. But again, on that, I'm going to try and be level-headed. I don't want them to sell just because, I'll have anybody. It's not the case. I want the next person will genuinely to come in and say that they want to take this club forward, push us back to our glory years, all the right sort of things. It has to be to the right person. Big up, Dermot. Good to see you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. Peter Kagayas, I'm hi all, 6:06 a.m. in Melbourne. To be honest with you, it wasn't a bad dream. It did happen, Peter. We did lose 2-1 to the Tractor Boys. I do apologise. Moondog says, Evening, Dave and Jack, what a bad performance. And that's what hurt most. There was lack of fight, lack of hunger, lack of desire, quite frank. Just lack of care, and, the more the game went on, the worse it got. It was just absolutely shocking to watch from start to finish, Moondog. And let's be honest, no one saw it coming. Yeah, you can sit there and say, look, there's some good things about Ipswich, but at the end of the day, everyone expects Spurs to win. You look at that on the calendar, every Spurs fan says that should be 3 points, and they just completely let us down, man. We've got K32, big up Jack and Dave. Hope everyone is doing well. Absolutely embarrassing performance yesterday. Spot on, lad. Wayne Bonner says, good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. Disappointed with that performance yesterday. Didn't care for the time wasted, but Ipswich deserved the win. Do you know what? I have seen a few people sort of go at the referee yesterday, and believe me, I'm one of the first ones to go at the referee. I genuinely don't think he done too much of a bad job yesterday, to be honest. I think a lot of free kicks he called, I thought, you know what? Yeah, fair play. It's a free kick. We're fouling some of them out of pure frustration. It's some stupid stuff there. But I don't think the referee had a bad game whatsoever yesterday. And, as far as time wasting, I'm not being funny, but that's why you don't give teams like Ipswich or any team a lead heading into the last 10 minutes. That's football. Teams are going to do it. As frustrating as it is to be on the receiving end, it's just smart play. You're trying to see out a result. I wish we had more sort of game intelligence, to be quite frank. George Caradas says, good day all. So Statue Ange is blaming time wasting now. Who's Statue Ange? I'm not sure. Are you want to... Maybe
I think he does. I think he thinks Ange stands like a statue on the sidelines, so he's been calling him a statue Ange.
Look, to be honest, I haven't really bothered looking into the full quotes. I'm so annoyed with yesterday. And if he has blamed time wasting, would then tell your team to be winning heading into the last 10 minutes, so you know time waste.
Quickly, I did hear some snippets of his press conference where I think there are longer versions of it. I might have heard a shorter version of it, but I did hear him address. He was asked about time wasting, and he was asked about some of the, the whatever housery, basically, for lack of a better term, from, the Ipswich Town team. And he said pretty much like, yeah, we don't do that, but I always tell my players to put ourselves in the position where we can, basically make teams, where they can't do that, basically, where you put yourself 2-0 up, 3-0 up, and they can't do that. They can't time waste. They they have to get back into the game. So I thought he answered it pretty well, to be honest.
There you are, George. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. Fat Tony says, already can't afford healthcare in America, and now Dr. Tottenham making me even sicker. King Huddle says, evening, it's too simplistic to put our losses down to mentality leadership. All have featured rank poor defending and insufficiency up front. That's a quality issue. Greater quality equals more consistency. I definitely agree with that for sure. Big up, Mr. Edwardson. Good to see you. Patrick Duffy says, is he sacked yet? Look, being quite frank, I don't think he is going to get sacked over this international break if that's what people are praying for. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll probably look at it. And when you look at the Premier League, I think it's 3 points separating 3rd to 11th. So I think they're going to look at that, and they'll probably wait until after the international break, see how we fare the first 5-6 games, and probably make a judgment off that. If it's going in the right direction, we push on. He probably stays. If he doesn't, then they probably start thinking about it heading into the January transfer window. But I definitely don't think they're going to do it now, Patrick, anyway, to be quite frank with you. We have RST in the house. I'm not Ange out because it starts at the top until he's gone. Nothing will change. Absolutely. Fair point. I definitely agree with that. For sure. What I would say is I'm definitely not going to just be staunch one manager in until they're gone. I think that's the wrong approach. At the end of the day, there will be managers that are wrong for this football club, regardless of the thoughts on the ownership as well. But definitely agree with the sentiment for sure. They definitely don't help managers anyway, that's for sure. Regardless of what fans think of Postecoglou, he's won everywhere he's gone. Conte won nearly everywhere he's gone, bar Tottenham Hotspur. Same with Jose Mourinho. The common denominator is this football club. Managers, they come here, we get fed up with them after a while. We get the initial manager bounce, the excitement, that tails off. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, get him out, get him out, get him out, get him out. He's useless, he's outdated, he doesn't know what he's doing tactically inept. Not every manager that's leaving Tottenham Hotspur can be that. That's all I'm saying. Look, it could be the case with Ange Postecoglou, but I'm just saying not every single manager can be that, if people get what I'm saying. Big up Georgie Hill, big up lads. Tired of the inconsistency, not going to argue with anyone, that's Ange out, but I don't think sacking a manager gets us anywhere. Genuine players need to look at the mirror as well. And that's the thing. I think if you keep giving the dressing room a pass, I think you're setting a bad precedent, a bad culture, a bit like Man United, where the players know they have the dressing room, and they can get managers hired and fired at the end of the day. And if they're not having a manager, all it takes is a few of them to put in 50% effort. The manager's gone out the door. The next guy comes in. As soon as he says something they don't like when a tough moment comes in, Grant, you're getting mean to us, not having you out the door. Can't keep doing that. It's only going to land you in trouble in the long run. So, if the club do decide to go a different direction, it's got to be the right direction this time. Mark O'Neill says, mid-table, no plan B. Good to see you, Mark. We've got Andy English in the house. Evening, Dave. Evening, guys. Did I see a smile on your face at the beginning, Dave? Yeah, because I'm just so embarrassed to be back out here again, quite frank. I'm just so angry. Sheb Tam, good evening. And Chris said something as well that made me laugh, actually, where he said something about someone going to Madrid. He's like, the only time they're going out there is if they're going on holiday. That tickled me. Sheb Tam says, good evening, Jack and Dave. Hope you're doing a bit better today after the fiasco that was yesterday. Still angry about that loss, but I've gotten somewhat numb to it now. I wish I could feel that numbness, to be quite frank. I just wake up today scratching my head, disillusioned with everything, quite frank. Big up, Michael W. Good to see you. We've got Mary W. in the house yet again, setting the fans up for more nasty banter. What hurts is that it's true. Really not funny. But you know what? Do they even care? You seen when David Portnoy with Eric Dyer, and he's there giggling and laughing with him. That's the thing. Do they care, or do they just sit there, see it, and laugh? Because they don't love the club the way they do. They're not born and bred Tottenham. They don't support Tottenham. Half of them come here because of the wage and the opportunity. So when that banter, they're probably sitting there giggling at it. They don't feel it the way we do. Definitely not. But definitely agree with that. We've got International Observer, 2 teams who were without a win all season. Win against Spurs. Dave, everything you were asking for is slowly the responsibility of the manager. Primarily, first of all, I think the first thing is he's not a manager. People need to get used to that idea. He's a head coach. That changed under Pochettino, one of the first clubs to do it. Most clubs operate like that now. Look, there's certain things he has control over. Agreed. And look, I've called him out for certain things I think he needs to get control over. But where I'm at right now, I've seen some really good and I've seen some really bad. For me, I'll take it after the international break, see how we come out of that, and then I'll make my decision up on that observer. Because right now, I think there's been some sort of rift between Ange Postecoglou and James Madison, and I think it's probably being kept in right now. This is just my guess, by the fact that he hasn't relied on Madison in big games. He's very reluctant to bring him on. He's obviously punishing him for something, or Madison's injured and we just don't know about it. But if he was injured, I'm pretty sure we'd be told. So for me, I'm thinking there's something that's gone on there, and we'll see after the international break who has more of the dressing room, Postecoglou or James Madison. That's my feeling on it, to let you know. We've got Dean S. says, agree with being outfought and ran, but Ange was also tactically outclassed. He doesn't know how to play against 5 at the back, mid-block. Newcastle and Palace set up the same way, and he was useless to a certain degree, but there are teams that we have bet that do set up against the low block and stuff like that. For me, I've noticed a pattern. It's more when teams come up and press us up front. That's what Ipswich done. That's what Crystal Palace done. That's what Newcastle done. They pressed our back line, gave them no time to pick out the passes into midfield. If it did get in there, they gave our midfielders no time, turned it over. Same with Galatasaray, and all came on us. We cannot deal with teams that get physical. Brighton in the second half done the exact same thing. Just ramped up the pressure on Tottenham. Didn't give us as much time to play. Went man for man. When a game gets physical, we absolutely struggle, Dean. That's my opinion on it. Dean Coy says, evening, Dave and Jack. Ipswich fans were so much louder than us yesterday as well. Could they really, because they all really wanted 3 points, a hard journey home? Yeah, look, I understand it. But to be honest with you, fans ain't going to sit there and clap that performance or start singing, At Tottenham, we're such long suffering. They now will only sort of, to a certain degree, the big games, look, the atmosphere is always great. But when you go out there and the performance starts to be like that, like the players can sit there and say, we need the crowd to rally us. Most fans do, most fans do. It's them that let us down. And the fans are waiting for the team to give them something to get behind. And that can happen on occasion. I think that's probably what went on yesterday. But I don't expect any fan to sit there and enjoy that, to be quite frank. Dan, but good to see you, my man. I'd say it was a very sour journey home. A lot to ponder on the way home. But at least you got home safe, and good to see you, my man. Big up, Tyler. Good to see you. We'll take a couple more because I'm so far behind. We also have Paul. Good to see you, my man. I was actually only thinking about you the other day. I need to get in contact with you later this week. See how you are. He says, we'll try and get on later, guys. Good to see you, Paul. Hopefully you're keeping well. We've got Faz Radfar. Big up, guys. My favorite channel. You and I have seen this enough before to let it ruin our daily lives. Just pissed off. Yeah, look. This one really stings, though. I find myself trying to do other things, but I keep thinking about it. You know, it really stings, Faz. But good to see you. Big up Eugene as well. Great to see you. Sebas Wolf in the house. Absolute bore. Steve Combs. Great to see you all. Niall O'Connor. Good to see you. The Owl lads in the house as well. Says Ange needs to jazz it up a bit on the sideline. White face with green wig and red nose with suit. Clown. He did, yeah, my Owl lad's not having Ange Postecoglou at all right now. Yeah, sometimes he doesn't give off the most inspiring figure on the sideline. You do see other matches, like you seen yesterday, there was a water break, and I've seen this quite routinely, actually. Other managers have the players over-issuing instructions and stuff like that. Ange just sort of stands there. I think he sort of holds it for a half-time because his approach is sort of sit out of the dressing room, especially them sort of issues, and let it police itself. But that's not happening because we don't have leaders. So he now needs to start rolling up his sleeves and getting more hands-on, is what I would say. Big up Moondog. He says, I am blaming the players. Even if you're crap, you show commitment, and they showed none. When that player went for the overhead kick, they stood there. Yeah. And you know what? That one really irritated me. Really, two of them standing there looking at each other. Am I going for it or are you? It's absolutely embarrassing. Someone take ownership, go and rise, and go and challenge. You know, look, Johnson to a degree went to make the motion and pulled out. Not good enough, not giving him a pass. But Porro's your defender. He has to love defending. He has to go and meet that. He has to be inspired by clean sheets. He has to be hungry by seeing that ball 50-50 in the air and go for it. And quite frankly, he pulled out. It's not bloody good enough at all from Pedro Porro defensively, and it's not the last time or the first time this season he's been caught out at that back post aerially or leaving players there and stuff like that. It's not good enough. It's something he really needs to start to get to grips with. Jack, anything you want to say to Moondog?
Well, you could actually say a few players, caught, in those moments for being quite lazy and definitely not showing enough commitment or effort. You'd say Sonny, hate to say it, love Sonny. Normally I don't call him out for this sort of thing, but the way he closed down that cross, Dave, right? Didn't show really that much effort at all to try to close down the cross.
That was
pretty much a half effort. If anything, it's pretty pitiful. Then you look at also Brennan Johnson's effort to try to even get in the way of, Smodix, for the bicycle kick as well, right? Doesn't even really give it much of an effort, almost gets out of his way. Then he really gets in his way. And then Pedro Porro, like you say as well, takes a lot of responsibility for just not, again, really showing enough commitment or even being switched on. So you could say plenty of players, had a lot to, be desired, let's say.
Yeah, I look, quite frankly, that's where you do need leaders on the pitch. Someone to stand up and say, boys, I'm fed up with this shit. Will you just start moving around, please? You get to grips. You're playing at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Why are you looking like you're in the middle of a World War III? It's not that difficult. Get your head in the game. I understand. I can't shout at you. So look, you're a great player. This is what you do well. Go and do it. You know what I mean? Someone to stand up, take ownership of other people's games to a certain degree. That's what a leader does. He makes sure everyone's on it and finds the right way to get everybody on it. And quite frankly, you just seen it yesterday. The second goal between Brennan Johnson and Porro summed it up all to me. No one taking responsibility. They're all just looking at each other, holding their hands up like that. Not my fault. Shirking responsibility. I absolutely hate it. I hate it, Moondog. And the sad thing is, I think a lot of our problems could actually be sorted out with a bit of communication. The centre-backs see the CDM maybe in the wrong position or can see danger coming their way. Just simply call him and tell him where you want him. It's old school, I know, but some things from old school are still relevant nowadays. Communication across the back line, for instance, if Porro does go in with the runner, which is the correct thing to do. Well, actually, you have two things to do. You either look around, see who's free, and tell him to go with the runner. Or if you're going with the runner, you tell him to pick up the man you're vacating. Simple communication. No one wants to do it. That's because there is a lack of leadership in that group. It's absolutely appalling, and it really needs to change, Moondog, because, to be honest, you bring in another manager, you're going to get the same up and downs, especially if there's no leaders on the football pitch, and everyone will go, well, we need the manager to do more. Sometimes the manager's rudderless if he hasn't got anybody on the pitch with the appetite. Moondog, it's disgusting, quite frankly, to be honest with you, but big up, Moondog. Good to see you in the house. Let's welcome in a few more people, and then we really are going to crack on because the back end is so full. Good to see you, Ben. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Furious time for a change. We've got Sam. Studio's full. Yeah, you'll be on tomorrow anyway. We'll let you air. You and Johnny will be on. You can air your views on it tomorrow anyway. And we also have James McDonald. Good to see. Keeping as well as I can, man. Keeping as well as I can. Just furious. But look, that's enough for me and Jag. I don't have any of the right words. I'm still angry. I'll come back in a few days when I've calmed down. But let's kick it off. Let's get the first guest on. It is the one and only Brad Matthews. let's get on. Let's hear what he has to say. Good evening, Brad. How are you, my man? Were you at the game yesterday?
Yeah, I was. I'm not even. I mean, okay. Caveat here. I wasn't even going to come on tonight. I thought I just cannot talk about it. I can't. We got some wonderful people that are going to come on after me, and all their opinions will be really good opinions, and I'll agree with some, I won't agree with others. But I thought I don't want to sit through that. I really don't. And I thought, no, I'll come on and say my piece or say something, and then I'll probably just switch off and, I don't know, watch some documentary on tariffs or something boring like that. But I just feel I'm not even angry. I'm just numb. I'm just exhausted. You know, it just affects you mentally all the time because you just don't know what's going to happen. Now, I sort of more or less predicted the Palace game. I more or less but I never in a million years thought we'd lose yesterday. And it was just a few things happened yesterday that I've never seen, or one thing happened yesterday that I've never seen at the club. Now, we all know that at half time and at full time you hear the boos, don't you? We all know that happens. That happens.
What are your thoughts on that? Who was that towards, the players or the manager, Brad?
I think
Postecoglou had a little spat with a fan.
I think it was. I personally, I don't boo. I don't boo. I just don't. And I don't. Anyone wants to boo, that's fine. I ain't got a problem with that. But I personally don't. But what I saw yesterday, which I haven't seen, was after the boos when they were final whistle and all that sort of stuff. Then the Spurs sort of players reluctantly, embarrassingly, sort of went to clap the fans in the South Stand. And not all the South Stand, but there's a fair amount of South Stand continued to boo them when they tried to do that. And I've never seen that at Tottenham. They went like that and the fans started booing them and the players were like, oh, fuck. And it looked like, oh, gee. And they just sort of trooped off. And as I say, I've never seen that happen at Tottenham. I've seen them boo at the final whistle at half time, but when the players, trying to applaud the fans, and there were fans in the South Stand clapping as well, don't get me wrong, but I've never heard, and it was audible. It wasn't just one or two, it was audible. You could hear the boos, and it wasn't just once. It sort of stopped, and then it came back again, and came back again, and came back again.
Who's right or wrong there, though, Brad? Because I actually understand it from, sort of both point of views when you take your step out of this situation, right? You look at the fans. They're fed up with the last 4 or 5 years, right? And a lot of that comes out in these boos, the pain of the last 4 or 5 years, what we've gone on. And look, there's plenty out there that would say it's 23 years of pain, right? And that's coming out in them boos, fine. But then you look at the players, the squad, right? It's a relatively new squad. They're probably standing there scratching their head going, but we're a new squad. There's going to be teething problems, etc., etc. Why are we getting that? So who's right and who's wrong in that situation? Because I'm of the belief, I get it from the players' point of view, but I do think a lot of them really need to realize, the club you're coming to, the desperation of the fans, and you have to want to put that right to come here.
As I say, I don't boo, but if someone wants to boo, that's fine by me. And to be fair, as I'm hearing the boos, I'm sort of inside thinking, yeah, good. The players will know now what they, if they don't already, they'll know what's happened out there. I basically, even if we have a bad loss, I still normally clap the players off because there are some players that have put an effort in. I think Papa Matasar can't be blamed for yesterday. He really, really tried, and then he unfortunately got injured. But yesterday, I couldn't even bring myself to clap the players. I just looked and looked as they came off. So I know that there's no connection between a lot of them and Tottenham. Okay, players like Mikey Moore obviously is grown up as a Tottenham fan and that. I don't yet believe that they don't care. But it's very hard. It's very hard to think that to keep that feeling. And I posted on the Twitter.
I think maybe, Brad, not care is the right word, but will they go that extra mile, find that inner tank in them to push themselves over that limit, which a player, someone like Mikey Moore, will dip into the reserve tank for Tottenham. I question, will a lot of them players out there do that for us? I'm not quite so sure.
I think yesterday, the problem, and I think I watched it or read a bit of Ali Gold today. I think the problem is that they seem to think that this result is a given. So you'll see them putting the effort they did put in against Villa was tremendous. I called that the best performance of the season, considering the opponent, blah, blah, blah. I think they just turn up and think it's going to happen. And you have to compete no matter how. We could be playing, I don't know, bloody Morecambe's second 11 women's team, but you still have to compete with them first before that your skill will come in and start winning the game for you. I think yesterday, I think there's two main problems at this club, and there's the small picture and the big picture. Now, the small picture is my dad used to say to me that it might have been my dad, it might have been me reading about it. Bill Nicholson in the famous 61 double team, his captain was Danny Blanchflower. Danny Blanchflower was Bill Nicholson on the pitch. He was the intelligence on the pitch, the cleverness on the pitch. I don't think we've got anyone that does that in this club. Now, whether you could say that's leadership, I don't know. It's probably the same sort of thing, but the cleverness on that pitch. And I'll give you a really good example of this. And I remember seeing it against the Arsenal game as well, where David Ragg kept just coming out and catching the ball. The Ipswich goalkeeper was doing that yesterday. Every cross they put in his 6-yard box, he'd come out and he'd catch it. We had a corner, and I said to the person next to me, I said, okay, guys, put that corner over the penalty spot, because anywhere in that 6-yard area, the keeper's going to come out and grab it. Yeah. Well, we all know what happened. It went in the 6-yard area. The keeper just came out, grabbed it. Another attack failed. Now, surely there's a player on the pitch that must see that must say, hang on, guys, put this free kick over the penalty area, over the penalty spot, But there doesn't seem to be. And I think now that's part of leadership. I don't know, but it's just something that we just don't seem to have out there at the moment. There's no intelligence, and it's
that's the word. Yeah.
Does that come from the manager, or does that come from the players themselves out there? Should the directive come from the manager and say these things? Even during games, should he be shouting down and saying, "Look, change up, put that one on the penalty spot"? Or because sometimes I feel like Ange's sitting there waiting for the players to twig it, so he's not constantly on them all the time.
I think from what I've read about him, I think his idea is they should do it on the pitch, and quite clearly they're not. Now,
does he need to change then, Brad? Does he need to roll his sleeves up and get more hands on then?
Well, obviously we don't know what happens at half time, so I'm hoping that he'll say, guys, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right, blah blah blah. But yeah, certainly on the pitch, I don't go with this. Oh, he needs to be waving his hands to be a good manager. I don't go with that. But I do get the point, get the question that you have to have some sort of. But then that's what your captain's for, isn't it? Really. Danny Blanchard was captain.
That's what they're supposed to be for.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I mean, you could argue that you have a team, you have all captains. Everyone should be a captain. But I just thought yesterday that there was just no intelligence. And the other thing was, the goals that we concede. I mean, this is why we're losing games. It's because we always concede that first goal, and it's like, it's just what's going on there. It's just I don't know it. We could argue about are they being defensively coached, but we don't know what happens on the training ground. We don't know. They might tell them do this, do that, and then when it comes to the game, they don't do it. So I don't know on that respect. The other thing, if you look at the big picture, and I thought about this. Now I'm very reluctant to do the Levy out stuff. I don't agree. I will criticise him, and he's done lots and lots of stuff that's wrong. But yesterday I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I mean, it's the saying is a fish rots from the head down. I think that's I think that's the saying. And yesterday I thought to myself, I don't really. We've got this winning mentality thing. I don't think, and I know there's going to be a lot of people in the chat and going, oh, everyone knew that. I don't think he cares about the football club. I think it, and I made this tweet last night, which
I was going to ask you about your tweet, Brad, before we let you go, if you wanted to speak.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably got the most likes and reposts of any of my tweets I've ever done, and I did it when I was drunk as well. So it's if anyone that lives in London will tell you that you'll go to a tube station. A lot of tube stations have a big poster saying, come to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, do the Skywalk, see the go-karting, come and see this band, that band, whatever it might be. The NFL, I've never seen anything say, come and see the football. I mean, technically, okay, we're not playing that well, something doing, but, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, the football's supposed to be at the top of the pyramid, not at the bottom. Yeah. All of the stuff we do is supposed to be for the football team. And I just really don't think, and I've had my doubts about this for a long, long time, and I'm just thinking, no, it's I don't think they care. It's that
I've always said, Brad, they'll do enough. Like, so for instance, right, there's a recurrent theme. You know, Conte came in here, got Champions League, and then they do enough just to help him out. You know, he achieves getting close to top four. Then, okay, everyone's talking about, right, let's kick on and win trophies. All of a sudden, they go in a different direction in the transfer window, piss the manager off, he goes. Same with Postecoglou, done a lot to help him, you know, implement his style of play. Then this summer, they completely switched tack, went a different direction, went inside a load of youngsters, not here to impact the first team straight away initially. Makes his job harder to do. And also, when they sacked Jose Mourinho 6 days out from a cup final to save money, and then put Mason in charge. How is Mason going to have the wit to outdo Pep Guardiola when Jose Mourinho has been doing it for years?
You know what, Dave? I don't actually agree with the second of Mourinho for money reasons. I think it's to do with the fact that the Super League was happening at that time, and he was getting a lot of flack, and that took away. Suddenly, everyone's talking about the Mourinho sacking and not Super League. That's my own personal opinion. Money could come into it. I don't know, but.
He doesn't want the pressure every season to maintain a trophy winning squad.
This is what Daniel Levy does. So if it gets really, really bad at Tottenham, he'll sack the manager because then everyone will think, oh, it's the manager, and they won't look at him. You know, I'm probably saying things that people in the chat, I think, oh, we've always been saying that, and that's probably correct as well. But I just sort of, I've seen this club get, as you say, under Pochettino, we got that far, and it's like all we need is one more push, and we're there. It didn't happen. We had it with Conte. We got the top four. Yeah, one more push. We're there. Didn't happen. You know, we had the situation this season. All we needed in this team, I think, was a couple of star players. But apparently, Ezzy, no, we won't pay the £60 million up front for him. And there's another player, I can't remember who it was. Oh, his wages are too high.
Gallagher.
Yeah, Gallagher. That's right. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that I wanted Gallagher or not, but that's the sort of thing. Now, the other thing I read the other day is that, and you guys probably read the same thing, is that David Lange, who did the Grealish transfer from Villa to Man City, organised that. Apparently, he's been talking to Grealish's representatives about stuff because Grealish is not getting any games from Man City. But we all know that there's no way in the world that Grealish, even if he wanted to come, is not going to come to Tottenham in January because we won't pay the fee, we won't pay the wages. You know, and it's hang on a minute, we're the third most revenue in the world for any sporting team, and yet we won't put out this extra bit of money. You know, again, it comes down to being run by an investment company. They just care about their investors and they want to play safe. They won't take risks. And I agree with you. No one's going to be coming and buying Tottenham anytime soon. It's not going to happen. You know, but it's just so. It's I'm sorry, I can't be my usual self this week. I can't even do that, and I can't even celebrate everything. I think
you're brilliant as always, Brad. Brilliant as always.
And I'm actually welcoming the international break because it means that they're not going to ruin my weekend.
Well, look, you're going to have a good victory over us at the weekend on Sunday anyway. So, you'll have something to cheer yourself up. But when you're gloating and enjoying it, think of me on the other end. But, Brad, we've got to keep it going, my man. We have a really busy back end.
All right, cheers. I do want to say that one last thing. I did go to the Irish bar that I normally go to in Ealing, the Shanachie. Shout out to the Shanachie. And it was absolutely mental last night. They had, apart from the fact that the Arsenal fans that were there when they beat us were there, stirring me up again. The fact was they had this band on playing sort of every song, but they had apparently a women's or a young women's hurling team had just won the title, all Irish, and they're in there celebrating. So you can imagine what it was like. It was absolutely mental. And it cheered me up a little bit, to be fair. But yeah. So.
I'd say it was wild, Brad. I'd say it was absolutely wild and good crack.
It was.
Brad,
it was.
Thank you very much. Look, hopefully we provided a little bit of therapy. You provided us with some for sure, and we'll speak again soon, all right?
Yes, guys. And everyone in the chat and everyone on the show after me, I'm sorry I can't watch any more tonight. I'm sure it's going to be an absolutely brilliant show as always, but I need to get some sleep as well. I didn't sleep last night.
You were brilliant as always, Brad.
All right. Cheers, guys. Have a great show.
Thank you, sir.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Celebrate when we can. All right.
When we can.
See you later, guys. Thank you.
See you, Brad.
See you later, Brad. Thank you, my man. Oh, as you can see, it's not going to get any easier. It's sad seeing Brad like that. He's a very upbeat sort of person in life in general. Oh, but look, that's what Tottenham Hotspur does to us. It's people like him that sacrifice
breaks it down
to go to the stadium and stuff like that. I wish they'd have a bit more respect for match day going fans and stuff like that, let alone us fans worldwide. But big up, Brad. Really appreciate it. Mark O'Neill with the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Mark O'Neill.
Mark Cavill.
Oh, Cavill. Sorry. Where did I get Mark O'Neill from? I don't know. Mark Cavill. Sorry, honestly. Do you know what I was saying to Jack earlier on? I'm going blind. I need to start getting glasses on. He says, big up, Mark. Says, I think Sonny is done. He doesn't shoot when he has the opportunity. I think he's done and he needs to be sold. Do you know what? Look, don't get me wrong. He's been frustrating the last few games, but you do have to take into account he is coming back from injury. Spurs did say they were trying to, not rush him back, but unfortunately, because of all the injuries now, we have to rush him back. But he's genuinely the only world-class player we have. And quite frank, I don't trust the club to replace him adequately. So I think we've got to keep on to him. Right now, even at 32, 33 years of age, he's still our by far the most productive forward player we have. Many people said cash in on Harry Kane. Now we're sitting there, Solanke to a degree is hopefully will solve the striker problem long term. But it's been a huge problem. I think we'll suffer the same if you get knee-jerk and get rid of Son as well. But look, that's just my opinion. Jack, we'll get yours. And then we'll certainly ask Chris when he comes on because he'll definitely let us know what he thinks.
I hate to disappoint Mark, but I'm also kind of in the keep Sonny camp. I can understand arguments for the fact that he is showing signs of age. And when that's the case, you have to think about, having someone else step in that is going to be better, that is going to be more, capable of playing, a lot of games as well as playing at a really high elite level. I just think at this moment in time, whether you maybe like it or not, it's just my opinion that I think Sonny still is probably our best winger at this moment in time. I think he still is more capable of Brennan Johnson of scoring and creating goals. I think Johnson can end up, getting in the right place to score a goal, but I still think Sonny is a better finisher and is also better creating for us. And, when you compare him to Timo Werner, Wilson Odegaard, and the rest of the options, I think Sonny is still the best we have available. So, and I don't know how much money we're going to get for him to try to fund, bringing in another person to replace him. I'd rather just bring in someone else to compete with Sonny as well as maybe play with Sonny personally. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, but Mark, we'll put it to the consensus. We'll ask people this as they come on, the next few guests anyway, and we'll definitely get their thoughts. Just quickly, I know there's more people trying to get in the back end, but people, Brad left, someone else got in there very, very quickly. We are going to keep going through these guests, guys. Just bear with us. But as you see people come on and off, then try again to try and get on. But we'll come back to this, Mark. We'll definitely ask Chris that. But we've got this from George Hill. When Spurs kill my love of the game, when Spurs killed the legend, Brad's love of the game. Yeah, I get it, angry. I do get it. It's hard to see, someone like Brad, that downbeat, that disillusioned about things, He's a very nice guy. Like I said, very sort of happy guy in general, but look, it's what Tottenham does for us. It's what Tottenham do to us, And like I said, he does a lot, sacrifices a lot to go to games for Tottenham. And I just wish some of the players would honour that on the football pitch, quite frank. But big up, Georgie Hill. Good to see you, my man, and hopefully you're keeping well, lad.
He said he claps after every game, and he said he couldn't even do it. Said he couldn't even do it. Yeah, he said he kind of just stood there motionless. Poor guy.
I wonder how bad Brad would have to be pissed off to boo. He said he won't boo. I wonder how bad you'd have to piss off. Much worse could it have been? Yeah, big up, George. Really appreciate the support, brother, and good to see you in the house, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. We have set up, a group for people that do want to do fan cams after the game. So if you, I know you've been sending some in and stuff. If you want to do it, man, just get in and send your number into the email address, and we'll get you in there, lad. Big yourself up, Georgie Hill. But look, let's keep this moving. We'll kick Chris off with what Mark Cavill has to say. Chris, we'll get your opinion on Mark's thing here about Sonny, and then we'll get your feelings on the game, lad.
Right, first of all, let me just get the housekeeping out of the way. Everybody smash a like and get your super chat in and ask any questions you want, because tonight there's no filters with me tonight, lads. Sorry, I'm too pissed off. I'm too pissed off tonight.
Yeah.
Right, Mark's question about Sonny. Sonny's not. I don't think we should sell Sonny, but I don't think he should be captain either. He's not got the leadership. He's not got the leadership qualities in him. I know this is the captain of South Korea, but at Tottenham, no. He may be the Tottenham poster boy, yeah. But for captain, I don't think we need a change there. If he can't show the balls on the pitch and be that captain on pitch and manage the players, he doesn't deserve to wear the armband.
Do you know what? I actually definitely agree with that, and I've said that. When he was announced as captain, I didn't like it. I made it clear. For me, captain is one of them people that will tell you what you don't want to hear, not someone that is friends with you and stuff like that. But
exactly that.
What we're on that topic just quickly, Chris. When you look around at that Spurs squad, who would you pick? Because Madison's in a leadership role. He ain't doing it. He's not even on the pitch anymore. Romero, a lot of people are saying his mind is elsewhere. So, when you look at that Tottenham squad, who would you give the captaincy to then?
You know what, David? After watching Witness yesterday, I don't even know anymore about my club. I really don't know anymore. I'm just looking at it like they're strangers. I've had enough of them. I really, really, truly, I'm so pissed off with that team. I don't care who the captain is, but I just know one thing for sure. It should not be Sonny.
No, look, I agree with you. I just don't think he is a player that leads by example, and he should be within the leadership group. He should be consulted, on stuff. But as a captain on the football pitch, I agree with you. I don't think he's that.
David, maybe I'm going to upset some of the Sonny career fanboys in the chat tonight. I am sorry. I don't mean to offend you, but the truth is, he does not deserve to wear the captain's armband. He's not strong enough. End of story. I don't care if you want to have a go at me about it. Go ahead. That's my opinion. I don't want Sonny as captain.
No, fair enough. Look, I'm sure people will get in and, retort to you. But what else do you want to say, Chris, about yesterday? How are you feeling about yesterday?
David, you asked about that. You said about that joke I made about Dragonson, yeah? Let me tell you one thing. Yeah, Radley Dragonson's agent wants to keep spouting him out to Real Madrid, yeah? Let me put this straight to you now. The only time Dragonson is going to go and play for Madrid is when he's on vacation. He's getting nowhere near them. Who does he think his agent think he is? Some sort of super agent. No, mate, it's just a big mouth Romanian. No, sorry, but David, I'm sorry. Who on earth you think Real Madrid look at Dragonson? Oh, he's quality. He gets beaten by somebody who's 20th in the Premiership. A team that have not won all season. And he wants to spout him off to Real Madrid. Sorry, no, I don't think so.
Speaking of that loss, and it was the same with Palace. We went into that game. They hadn't won a game all season. Tottenham rocked up. Who takes the blame for that for you? Postecoglou, the manager, or the players? Who?
David, let me stop you there. There was no doctor Tottenham. It was the team complacency, thinking, "Oh, we're going to go to Ipswich. We're going to smash them 5-0. It doesn't matter if we turn up or not." It was an arrogance. It was arrogance by our team yesterday, and we were pathetic, embarrassing, low, crap, shit. You name it, over that yesterday. After 17th minute, I turned it off because I didn't care no more. I really just wanted, I don't care no more. And also, let's go on about the booing as well. If I was in that stadium, I would have booed as well. I would have booed. And Ange wants to have a go at the fans for booing, yeah? No, Ange, you deserve it. They deserve to be booed. They don't deserve to be applauded. What do they deserve to be applauded for? After yesterday, if anybody can give me a solid answer why they should be applauded yesterday, I would love to know. Please put that in the super chat and ask me why they should be applauded.
No, look, I agree. I was stunned that Brad sort of said their initial reaction was like, "Oh, it's sort of like if they think fans are going to stand there after that performance and applaud them, it sort of shows me that they just don't understand, do they? They just don't get it, we don't want them walking around applauding us after that. We want you to get straight down the tunnel and have a fucking inquest."
It doesn't even need an inquest. They just need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and realize who they're playing for, what they're playing for. Because yesterday it just looked like, yeah, we're getting our wages at the end of the week. We don't give a shit if we win or lose. I don't care. International break coming up. Oh, I don't want to get my little foot injured before I go into international duty. I won't shot for it. I won't shot for a 3 points which could have got us third place. Oh, I don't care about that. Because it seemed to me, David, yesterday, those players were more concerned about their international performances in the next international. The likes of Romero, Porro, Johnson, all more interested in their internationals than they are the Premiership team.
Let me ask you this, Chris, as well. Are we a team that is basically struggled to handle Europe and Premier League side by side? Because I think this is the third game. I think this is the third game we failed to win off the back of a midweek European fixture.
It's no, David, there's no excuse. Some of those players we played yesterday did not play in the Galatasaray game. There's no excuse. There is no excuse for them at all. Vicario was rested. Udoji was rested. There's no excuse for them. There is nothing. The Poro wasn't playing. He was rested. There's no excuse. Yeah. I don't care. There's
Why do
no
we keep losing games then off the back of European fixtures?
No, David, the thing is, it's not even with losing after the European fixtures, because if you look at it, right, look, James Madison played 65 minutes of Galatasaray. That was taken off. He got 5 minutes yesterday, if you were lucky. No, there's no excuses. He's creative. He can actually create something. All we're doing is putting the ball in the area. Juric is catching it and stay laying on the floor for 5 minutes. But that was the sequence of the game yesterday. There's no excuses for any other players. They should hold their head in shame and embarrassment. I don't want to hear Son sorry no more. I'm sick of hearing sorry. If you're sorry, do something about it. Don't come out and say sorry this week and lose next week. See, David, I'm telling you now, I'm very, very close to Ange out. But the only fear is if Ange goes. But the only problem is if we've Ange out, it means we end up with Ryan Mason again. And I can't be doing with Ryan Mason again for the third year running. You know what I mean?
I don't want to hear that.
You know what I'm saying? So this is my only fear if we sack Ange. Well, because realistically, there's Ten Hag out of the job. I don't want him nowhere near the club. Definitely don't want him. Right? And then you've got Ryan Mason. So if we do sack Ange, what do we do? So
don't know.
It's an interesting situation.
We ain't getting a top manager in here, that's for sure. Our days of getting top managers in here were burned with Conte and Jose Mourinho. We're not getting anyone else in here. That's top.
But David, remember what Daniel Levy said? We've got our club back. Yeah, we have Spursy. And the word Spursy relates to us after yesterday. And it does. I'm sorry, that's a nasty word to say. And I'm sorry if offensive supporters, but we are Spursy in a nutshell.
That was one of the most Dr. Tottenham. I don't know if you could be more Dr. Tottenham and Spursy, really. I just don't know if it gets more than that. It's just from beating Man City, Aston Villa, like I said, on top of the mountain, to then just getting sucker punched right at the end. You know, when you get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, you know, yesterday wasn't even a sucker punch. It wasn't even a sucker punch. It was a deserved punch. It was deserved.
Because we were that shit.
Ipswich deserved to beat us, and that's I'm saying something.
Chris, I thought Palace was supposed to be that punch that we needed to wake us up, though.
Yeah, you would think. But the other thing, too, is even when we got the goal, we actually played worse after we got the goal, it felt like, too. Like, we were just that bad on the day. We just couldn't even get momentum from it.
Let's put this in perspective, right? Crystal Palace was the left punch, and the Ipswich game was just the uppercut, the finisher, because it was an absolute joke. How can those players stand there and try to applaud our fans after putting a performance in that? How dare they actually have the audacity to try? And they wonder why the superstars stand through them. They have the audacity to stand there and go, "Oh, do you know what? Thank you so much for showing up." But why didn't you? Why didn't you show up? It was nice to cheer for you.
Somebody even brought up, Chris, as well, like losing to Davinson Sanchez and Jack Clark in the same week. You know, it doesn't really, you know, it's bad.
You know what? Yo, Jack, from what I saw yesterday, Radon Jackson is no better than Davinson Sanchez or Davinson Sanchez or Aaron Tyers. That matter, to be fair.
Nah,
I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of this players. And now,
are you being harsh on Radon Dragusin, though, Chris? Because, you know, in fairness, he's 22. He still has time to improve, like, in terms of his defensive aspects.
Do you know, David, I really don't care how he's 22 or 29. At the end of the day, his agent beat him up so bloody much, yeah? So I want to see what this agent has been talking about. Do you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he's like, oh, he can go to Real Madrid and get in their first team. He wouldn't get even in their C team or their D team. Or they can go back to Italy. Yeah, maybe he can go back to Italy because it's a slow pace of football. Jackson looks like he's just like, do you know what? I think Jackson's best position for our team is back on the bench with Van der Beek's fit. Because I can't, no.
Well, he will because he's not good enough in possession.
Thank God for that. I can't wait for Van der Beek's hamstring to recover because I can't deal with it no more, David. After yesterday, I walked into work today and all the abuse I got, I need to turn around and walk back out the door. I actually swapped my shit to go to make sure I was home yesterday to watch the game.
Or you.
And do you know what? I wish I didn't pop on. I actually wish I thought myself should have worked for Sunday. Just to avoid that.
Just next time, Chris, for next season, just think about handing in your schedule for all the Spurs games. You're like, I'll work on all these days.
To be fair, yeah, I was sent off 76 minutes. I just thought to myself, is it really worth it?
Well, Chris.
Do you know what? From now on, even if we get a big win like 4-1, I'm not celebrating because I know next week we're going to lose.
I don't blame you for saying that. I don't blame you for saying that, but I really hope we don't have to be saying that anytime soon.
But I said it in the group chat, yeah? I have a really bad feeling about this game because we did it against Crystal Palace. The only team not to win in the Premiership was Ipswich Town. And what happened yesterday? Top to Tottenham, do it again. Not only end Crystal Palace's losing streak, we haven't done it with Ipswich as well. So you know what? They must be. Do you know all these teams that haven't won? They must be going like this. Oh, we're coming up to Tottenham next. Yeah.
Look, they all do, Chris. They all do, Chris. No team respects us, and they don't because they know, given if Tottenham are up for the game or not, on any given day they can roll us over. It's up to us to go out and earn that respect, from our positions. Then none of them respect us. They all feel like they can turn us over. But Chris, really appreciate you tonight, my man. But we do got to keep it moving. We do got to keep it going. And great to see you back again, and good to see you on the men, brother.
Yeah, well, David, I'm not even going to say, come on, you Spurs. They don't deserve it from me this week. They can go suck themselves.
I understand that, lad. I fully understand.
For the first time in years, I won't say, come on, you Spurs, after being on the stream. They can go fuck themselves this week because I don't want to hear nothing about them. They can go
fair enough.
Appreciate you, Chris. One of the goats, man.
That's upset me, Jack.
No, I get it, Chris. I get it, man.
David, I have to say one other thing, yeah? The last time I was this pissed off is when we lost 3-0 to Arsenal under the statue Nuno. This is the last time I was that pissed off. I'm on the equal levels with this one.
I don't blame you, lad. I do not blame you.
Night, yeah?
Legend,
Same
Chris.
to you, Chris. Try and play on Coronation Street or something and forget about it, lad.
Yeah, turn on the Great British Bacon Show.
I'm just going to do it. Brad Matthews will find a documentary or something.
You guys tell each other which ones you'll look for.
That's the Great British Bake Off. That'll do you good. Have a good evening, Chris.
Hey, man.
Yeah, definitely. Great British Bake Off.
Legend, Chris. See you, brother.
See you later, man. Do you know what? I don't know how that guy manages to make me smile, even though I'm so pissed off. Some of the stuff he says, he's so witty. It's absolutely brilliant. But big up, Chris. Really appreciate your time this evening. We have this from Artist T. And look, we'll bring on and have this discussion with the next guest. But I also want to have a conversation with him about Ange. But we'll get our thoughts out about this quickly, Jack. He says, question for all three. Do you agree Matters has an attitude issue, and that's the issue between him and Ange? I heard that he's extremely arrogant and spoke from people that have met him. Look, I don't like the hearsay stuff, because everyone has different experiences with people and stuff like that. For instance, like, I might have a bad experience with someone, but, I'd always say, look, that's my experience. Maybe I was just having a bad day that day. You go, it's up to you. Go and make your own opinion and stuff like that. But look, when it comes to Madison, I'm not going to lie. If anyone remembers back, I did bring this up about on one of my hesitations on signing him about him being a little bit arrogant. It was one of the main reasons why I said I'd rather Pedro Gonçalves over James Madison at the time. But look, I do think Madison is a fine footballer. But right now, quite frankly, what I think's gone on, Ange Postecoglou said, look, Madison, we paid a lot of money. You're in my leadership group. But you're going to have to start working both sides of the game. You can't just sit there and wait for possession. You have to affect the game for me out of possession for me to justify you having you on that pitch. And I think Madison hasn't done it. I think they've had multiple conversations about it to the point where Madison has probably blew up and gone, look, I'm a cam. I play calm. I don't do defensive side of duty. Play a system that suits me. And Postecoglou has gone, okay, well, that's arrogant. You're not playing until you do what I ask you to do. Quite frank, I think there's some sort of argument about that, maybe what role is best for them. I think that's what's gone on. But that's just my opinion. I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything. I don't have anyone coming to the club telling me what's going on. That's just my observation from the outside looking in. And I must stress that, Jack.
No, I think we can probably do our own little video on it over the week or something like that for the members or whatnot. But I'd agree with a lot of what you had to say there. I think Madison and Ange are clearly not on the same page, and probably has something to do with either Madison's role in itself in the team. He doesn't feel like what he's being asked to do is fair on him, or doesn't really suit his strengths. And it also could be just the fact that Ange Postecoglou is pretty ruthless at times at taking him off, and he's probably not a guy that's very used to that, being taken off. At times when he maybe thinks he's the guy that can change a game, he's the guy that can win the game on his own. He often is one of the first ones to be substituted by Ange Postecoglou, so maybe he also doesn't like that either.
But big up, artists. Let us know your thoughts, though, lad, in the chat on the Madison situation. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. But look, really appreciate everybody tuning in. Keep getting your comments in as we go along. We'll keep bringing them up. If there's any questions you want answered, get them in, and we'll bring them up to the people that are on screen at the time to get them answered. But look, let's keep moving. The next guest we have on is Eddie the Eagle. Eddie, how are you keeping yourself after yesterday's result, man? What's your thoughts?
Oh, mate, it's
broken. You said
I have been broken, mate. Like, my holidays ruined. I took 2 weeks off to get myself ready for Christmas, and it's just been ruined completely. Like, I have no faith. It's gonna make so much worse because Australia is just so shite. I don't want to watch us. It's gonna make me even more broken to see my country shit, just like my team. It's just not good.
I feel that pain. But look, Eddie, there's a lot of people out there that, look, I sort of said in the pre-match build-up, if he loses this, rightly or wrongly so, there's going to be a lot more questions about Postecoglou's future. Is he the right man to take this club forward? A lot of people are highlighting, maybe where they feel like he's going wrong. Where are you at with Ange Postecoglou? Have you still got faith? And maybe, put your opinions across on why you think, if there is anybody out there that feels like you, why they should still be faithful or not, still believe in them, basically.
Look, I don't think we can keep sacking managers and hoping to get a different result. Like many people said about his tactics, the definition on insanity is doing the same action over and over again, hoping to get different results. That's what we're hoping for with managing sacking. We're hoping to get different results with different managers. It's not working, and we can't do this. It's not sustainable. And I don't feel like he was outclassed tactically yesterday. I felt it was the players' lack of fight, lack of will. Ipswich was always going to come and give us a fight because they're in relegation form. They don't want to be relegated into the Prem. They want to stay in. They're going to fight for their position. And I was never confident about the game. I even told Sonny when I was playing with FIFA with him, I was like, I'm not confident about the game. I was like, I could see us probably winning 2-1, but ended up losing 2-1. It didn't really shock me, truthfully. By the end of it, I was just absolutely defeated. I just had my head hung low. I was like, this is worst watch I've ever seen in a long time. It's just so.
You say Ange wasn't tactically outclassed. I agree with that. I think, Kieran McKenna employed similar tactics that Palace have on us. Galatasaray, I think that's the blueprint he sort of followed. You go back and look at the highlights of the game. Delap pressed our backline relentlessly along with Hutchison and stuff like that. But could have Ange done more during game to try and change the tide of that sooner? Like, he left it late to make substitutions. You're looking for a bit of creativity or something different going forward. He didn't bring Madison on with, until 89 minutes. Should he be doing more during games, and why isn't he?
I just don't think he still fully trusts the bench, truthfully. We say the bench options are better. I 50-50 agree. I don't see many of those bench options coming on and actually affecting the game. They could do well starting, but actually coming on in a tense situation and affecting it is totally different from starting at a game when it's 0-0. Nothing has happened. We're not losing. We aren't doing what bad. It's totally different for me when we've got a bench option. So I feel like we do need better bench options. I don't fully agree that we have an amazing bench. We have bench players. Well, not bench. We have starting players, but not bench players. That's a difference for me in that. I feel like he just doesn't trust it fully. And you saw he did leave the substitutions a bit late for me. I think the Madison thing is just he's not having Madison at the moment. It wouldn't shock me if he isn't doing what Ange wants come next summer. If Ange is still here, he's out the door. Ange is not afraid to pull a plug or kick out arrogant players out of the club very easily. you saw what he did up at Celtic. Davo, the first season he came in, he kicked out all these senior players and all these old guard because they weren't having him, and he didn't like them. So he's not afraid.
Do you know what the difference for me between him at Celtic and him at Tottenham Hotspur is? That Celtic, I think, very quickly, because of Rangers' sort of success and because he brought something new. And if I remember reading at the time that Postecoglou or Guardiola was the one that had a chance meeting with the Celtic owner and actually put him forward for the job and reasons why. But at Celtic, I think the ownership there was very, very quickly to follow his directive. You look at the players he brought in. He brought a load in from the Japanese league that he already knew because he was out there before he came to Celtic. So they were very quickly to follow everything he wanted to do. Whereas at Tottenham Hotspur, I don't think they're going to do that. And I also don't think they've done it this summer. I think that was the time to show me. And I think they went in a different direction. It didn't help Ange by going down the young route rather than signing players to come in here and affect the first 11. At Celtic, they were doing that for him. So in the long run, is this going to work out for Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham then?
I'll determine that factor come January. If we sign the players that Ange wants and the players that we need to affect our European run and to affect the Premier League run, I'll determine whether or not if Ange will work out, because at the end of the day, it is up to the board if they want to support the manager fully or just do a half-assed job with it. Unfortunately, I think Ange is one of those managers when he is affected by what the board does. And I feel like if he went to
every manager is. It's not just Ange, every manager is.
I feel like he's better suited to. He's a great manager, but I feel like if he went to, say, a Fulham and the Fulham board actually backed him, it was like, okay, you want these players, this player, we'll give you these because we want to stay and compete in the Prem. Other than top clubs, which is like, okay, we need to sustain this, or we go sign this world-class player, player. But Spurs isn't like that. We are an investment club, basically. We do what we can to bring in the most money for the club, not for the on-pitch performance. And unfortunately, until Levy goes, we won't see much change in that, even after sacking Ange. We won't see it.
Fair.
We might. I still have hope in the season come European Cups and Cup runs. I still have hope we can get something out of that. There's still a 3-point gap between 11th and 3rd. There's still chances for us to get top 4, top 3. So I'm not writing off the season completely. I'm just very hesitant because I need to see these players step up. These players can't be getting away with it.
You know what the thing is? Look, Postecoglou is not a bad manager. I know people call him Postecoglou and question absolutely everything he does, but it was the same under Conte, it was the same under Jose, and it was the same under Nuno. Nuno's on a riot with Forest right now and done very well. It was before he joined Tottenham Hotspur. Despite how he got on at Tottenham, everyone was the same thing. It doesn't have a clue, this, that, and the other. It's not quite the case. Same with Jose, same with Conte. Look at the CVs before and after Tottenham Hotspur. Speak for themselves to a large degree. We hire very, very good managers at Tottenham. We just make their life absolutely difficult. It's almost like Levy thinks they're such a genius that he puts obstacles in their way, thinking they can navigate around it. Whereas sometimes it's just as simple: do what they need you to do. It's just whether Postecoglou will have the patience in the long run to navigate that, to be able to bring it round to a point where he starts to get what he wants. Almost come in and do what Paratici done, sort of massage Daniel Levy's ego, but then say, well, look, I know you see it this way, but there's actually long-term benefits if you do it this way, and show them different ways to do it. It's just trying to work out whether Postecoglou has that patience or not, to be quite frank, and whether he's willing to change certain things about his management. Because, okay, leaving the dressing room to police itself at Celtic work, but different strokes, different folks. Same with the clubs. You can't manage one way at a club. Sometimes you have to tweak, and I wonder, will he do that? But RST says here quickly, Eddie, do you agree that Ange needs to get to a final to save his job? I'm not Ange out, but I don't think he doesn't get. I do think if he doesn't get at least one final, he's gone. I don't think even a semi-final saves him.
It depends on how he goes out. If he gets to a semi-final and it's a heartbreaking penalty, going out on aggregate score, I feel like that could probably saving with the fans. I don't know if they're saving with Levy. We know how Levy trigger happy if we don't perform well in cups. So we'll see. We'll see. Personally, no. If he does, like I said, depends on how he goes out. If he goes out, the better team, but unfortunately, just a heartbreaking moment, 1-0 loss, penalty loss. To me, that's fine for me personally. Everyone have their own opinions on this matter. If you feel like if he doesn't get to the final, we sack him. That's your opinion. Not personally, I don't think so. Just how I see it, but I feel like a final would definitely save him with a lot of fans. I feel like a lot of fans are calling for finals and cups, and if we don't get there, a lot of fans will really. I mean, like you see, looking at this now, it's pretty much pathetic what it's going to be if Ange doesn't make it to a final or win a cup. People are really going to go on Ange if we don't do it. So, personally, no. But every person have their own opinion on this matter.
And and also the league form though is showing to still be important as well, because you can't lose to Ipswich Town clearly. So Ange has to navigate the Premier League as well as try to get further in the cups. Eddie, I did want to just quickly ask you just to confirm. We're putting together a lot of fan cam people for the post match games. Is that something you wanted to be a part of, or is that just too crazy o'clock in the morning for you most games to want to send one in? I think is what Dave told me.
It's too. I could do it some games, or most games, because it's too inconsistent for me. The game times. It's not about crazy clock time. Sometimes I'm working when the games are happening, and when and I'm not back. I'm not back till like 1:30 in the morning. And even when I get back, I'm having a shower, so I won't be able to have time to send it in. So it's consistency about the fan cam stuff. I would if I could. But,
no worries.
Gotcha. Thank you, Eddie. Thanks for letting me know. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being always great on these fan shows. And just get through this international break the best way you can, sir.
Yeah.
All right,
guys.
Have a good evening, Eddie. See you soon. Bye-bye. Everyone, big up Eddie in the chat, still behind Ange. And you know what? A lot of people are very respectful there listening to what Eddie has to say. I absolutely love that. So big yourselves up. Big up William McKenzie as well. I don't think he's become a new YouTube member. I think
he's an elite member.
Renewing it.
Yes, been a member for a long time, and he's become an elite member. And Dave just appreciating the content, and he's saying we need the planets to align as well.
Big time.
I've been saying that for a long time. It feels like with Spurs just always feels like you're 1 week, you think you have Spurs all figured out. And then the next week, you see Spurs once again, stab you in the back or just leave you completely clueless and completely just befuddled. It's just the nature of it. You're always just broken by Spurs. Even Dave and I, we felt like we were experiencing just brain melt or whatever it was, from that game, just having to go from the highs of Aston Villa and Man City to getting beat by Galatasaray, then Ipswich. You just don't know what to make of it.
I'm like that old phone now, where you need an upgrade. I've got crack on the screen, one or two of the buttons don't work properly, it doesn't charge properly. That's how I feel right now today, about where I'm at with Tottenham Hotspur. I'm absolutely fed up with it, Do you know what? It doesn't really. You could bring the bat signal out. It's still not going to save Tottenham Hotspur, to be honest, William. It's just going to be another long, hard sort of season. And this is why I always say to people, when we win, I'm just going to sit there and enjoy it, because I know there's a loss very, very quickly around the corner where I'm going to get angry. So I will happy clap the shit out of the wins we get, because they're so few and far between every season, William. But big up, my man, and good to see you in the building. Hopefully life's treating you well over that side of the world, lad. How are you keeping? Please let us know in the chat how you're keeping over there on that side of the world. Then we've got Johnny Stokes, member for 33 months. That's absolutely madness. That's 3 years on the button, actually. Big up, Johnny. No, it's not 20. No, sorry, that's if it was 11
nearly
months
there, but practically. Big up, Johnny.
You dumbass. But sorry, John, you're nearly there. But he says, evening to the legends, Dave and Jack. Come on, you Spurs. Look, not sure about legends, just a fat Irish guy with an opinion that, people either want to hear or they don't, to be honest with you, John. Just right now, a little gnome that's, angry. An angry gnome is what I am right now, John Stokes. But good to see you, lad.
Yeah, you came up. Remember, we were mentioning you in the fantasy recaps just recently, John. I don't think it was for the best of reasons. I think you ended up with one of the lower scores, but I think we've also mentioned you once or twice for having one of the higher scores. So hope to see you further up that table, Big Johnny Stokes. And hopefully you and the family are okay. just life in general. Outside of Spurs, of course, right now is doing all right for you. But big up, John. Thanks for being with us for a long, long time. Appreciate you, man.
Big up, John. Absolute legend, and really appreciate the support, my man. And keep trucking on out there, my man, delivering stuff all over the country for some people. So big up, Johnny Stokes. Hopefully you're keeping well, man. Probably listening to us while he's actually driving or trying to bed down for the night. So big up, John. Really appreciate it, sir. Big up, Sakari Sock as well. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. And Woodsy TV still in with us. Great to see you. Peter's still with us. King Oddle's still with us. Ange Ball is in here as well. Good to see everybody still with us. Tyler, Big D, Big Dermatron and all as well. Really appreciate it, guys. But look, let's keep this moving. We still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in the back end. I'll leave the link up there for another 3-4 minutes if people do want to come on, register your interest. But after that, I will be taking it out because I do have dinner waiting for me and I am hungry today. Really hungry, especially when I'm angry. I'm a diva when I'm hungry. But look, let's keep it moving. We do have the next guest on. It is Big Mick all the way from Poland. Let's see how he's feeling. Mick, how are you keeping, sir?
Big up, guys. Happy Independence Day to all the Polish guys out there. I hope you enjoy your white poppy seeds and all that stuff, right? But yeah, it's honestly, guys, like I was thinking what I'm going to say today, right? And I kid you not, it almost feels as if I was struggling with like a bipolar disorder or something with this team, because it's like, I keep saying this, whenever you want to back this team, they kick you in the nuts, because you guys use the phrase sucker punch. It's not a sucker punch, it's kick in the nuts, like straight up, down the crotch. You just get the full force swing.
Two of them gone up into the stomach.
It's exactly, Dave. And it's like, you know what, I was thinking about it, right? And I try to be like realistic and reasonable in my judgment, right? And when I was looking at our losses this season, I could like kind of not excuse, but I could kind of understand like losing to Newcastle and Brighton, right? Because it's tough to go there. Like City lost at Brighton, Arsenal lost at Newcastle. You look at those places, and it's not an easy place to go to, right? I'm going to like ignore the way we lost, but just the fact that we lost, right? I can even like understand losing to Arsenal in a sense, right? With the way this match went, it was just like a set piece thing, right? Shit happens, right? Even when I looked at Crystal Palace, I was like, they are not a bad team. They were on an awful run of form, and we went away. Like shit happens. We lost 1-0, whatever, right? But losing to Ipswich at home, with all due respect to Ipswich, because I actually really like Ipswich, right? I would much rather have Ipswich in the Premier League than West Brom, Watford, or Norwich, right? I would much rather have Ipswich, right? I respect their team, I respect what they did, and I respect their history, but to lose to a freshly promoted side that was winless in 10 matches, and we lose at home to Ipswich, I was fucking flabbergasted when I was watching this game. I was speechless, right? And by the way, the worst thing is, right, that whenever like the weekend comes, I usually just put on like Premier League games in the background in our living room, and me and my girlfriend, we are doing stuff and the games are going in the background. So she like knows the teams, and she usually like chooses one team to support. Support, she doesn't know the players, she doesn't know the manager, but she just likes them. And this season it's Ipswich, right? Last season it was Luton. So this season it's Ipswich. So it's basically like an in-house derby, right? And we fucking lost that. So I even had my own girlfriend.
It nearly happened to me. The missus done the same at Coventry City, and it nearly happened to me a few weeks ago. I understand it, lad. It's embarrassing.
It's honestly embarrassing, guys, right? But like on a serious note now, because like when we were sitting in the lobby before you guys started the live stream, I said I'm like this close to being Ange out, right? And I do realize that it kind of sounds like I'm bipolar, right? Because last time we spoke, we were out.
What I'd ask is, what are you hanging on to that's stopping you from being Ange out, and what is making you sort of maybe swing that way? Let's clarify that.
It's more about the team than the manager himself. I think if they can like fix up, because like let's be honest, this team is better than 10th. I will stand by it, right? Even if they put in shit performance after shit performance, I still think this team is capable of finishing like 5th, in my opinion, right? And the only say it's kind of like a strange thing, because like I kind of feel bad for Ange, because he got hard done by in the transfer window. But the issue is that he didn't point out that he got hard done by. He went out of his way to say to us that he got backed, and every single player they brought in went through him, right? So when I look at it, right, I have like two conclusions. Either he is lying, right, which is not good. Either he's just saying that to like, appease the masses or whatever, right? Or he's truly believing in what he said, right? And it's truly like this is the truth, right? That he got backed, and this is all the players that he wanted.
Can I give you just quickly where I'm at on that?
Yeah.
Just on that, I think when it comes to that, I think it's an ego thing with Ange Postecoglou. That he said he had control over everybody coming in here, because when Johan Lang done his interview, he said that him and Postecoglou were brought to Tottenham to work off their directive. Gabonini was the one that spoke about having to push the club to go and sign Van de Ven. He put his neck out on the line for that signing. Nobody else in the club wanted him. He said that in an interview he done after he left Tottenham. So there's contradicting people behind the scenes that have said different things to that. And when I listened to David Moyes on the Overlap the other day, I've heard Sam Allardyce and other managers say this in podcasts and interviews that they've done, that, people think that it's like the Sir Alex Ferguson days where they have full control over the transfers and everything. They don't. It's people that are coming in out of colleges using stats, telling them what to sign, and they're getting fed up with it.
Yeah, but I'm going somewhere with this, right? The way I'm going with it, right, is even though I like watching, I completely back what you said, right? I never believed that any manager in the world has 100% authority on what players they sign, right? I don't believe that, because managers don't have the time to watch all the leagues and to watch all the players and to scout, right? Yeah. There is no way Pep Guardiola found Julian Alvarez in the Argentina league. He doesn't have time to watch Julian Alvarez play, right? It's the scouting team. Maybe he accepted the signing, right? That's a different thing. Where I'm going with it, right, is if you go out of your way to say that you've been backed and you have like every single player they signed is on you, basically. He said that, right? Then I'm going to treat your tenure and I'm going to treat the results that your team gets as if you got backed and as if you got everything that you wanted, right? And right now, I think 3 windows is enough to mold your team into your your view. You have your view of the team. You want your players. 3 windows, and especially when you slap 400 million like we did, right? It's enough to have your team and to have that team play your own way. And with all that being said, we lost 5 in 11 in the league. And this is why I'm like this close to being Anjao, because I think this team is playing absolutely woeful, in my opinion, considering the talent that we have. And I'm really starting to get fed up with how we are misusing some of our players. And I think I've said it.
In what way, Michael?
I think I said it like a couple of times with a couple of different players, right? First of all, I really hate Son playing touchline winger. I don't think he can play that role anymore, and we have to use him.
But is that any different to where he's played his whole career, though, Michael? Like, people done this last year with Son. He's a striker, but he's not a striker. He's played left wing all his career.
But I'm not like implying he should play instead of Dom Solanke. I think he should be playing either as a pair with Dom Solanke, or we should order him to play more inside, right? I really don't like the fact that he's the most white person, right? We have Udogie and
you'd rather Udogie overlap him.
Exactly, right. We have both wing backs that played at their previous clubs in a back 3 systems where they were overlapping wing backs, and we both tell them to play inside. Not all the time, but mostly they play as inside fullbacks, right?
But does Guardiola not get credit for that?
Yeah, but Guardiola has different players, right? Guardiola has Guardiola, and he has Rico Lewis, who went through their academy, and he has John Stones, who are much different players than Paul and Udogie, right? What I'm saying basically is I think we have a team that's suited more to a different system and different approach. And I think we are trying to shoehorn some of those players into roles they are incapable of performing in. And
is that not the problem with Tottenham in general, though? Because you could argue on the content if we had an attacking manager.
Yes, but that's also a problem with Ange himself, right? Because if he is like a 57-year-old coach that has plenty of experience, I think he should be able to recognize like what role his players should play in, right? And by the way, because I didn't go with the biggest one, my biggest issue is with Madison, right? Because I fully understand all the criticism about the attitude. I fully understand all the criticism about his like work rate or whatever, right? But if you have a player like this, and we know that he has talent, right? We know there is a big player in there, right? But we know that he's 1.70 meters, a bit of a lanky guy, right? Who won't be doing your deep line playmaker defensive work. So why the hell are we trying to shoehorn him into that like box-to-box number 8 role, which I've seen plenty of times this season, right? And this is something that's starting to like really get on my nerves, because I sit in front of the TV and I see some of those players struggling with the way we try to approach the game. It's almost as if like they have this like, and listen, I understand having your own philosophy and your own like principles, but I think he will die by that sword, in my opinion. I think Ange, I can respect to a certain extent that he has his own principles, right? But and he can say everything that he wants about winning trophies and going into finals, right? But if he doesn't fix up the league form, first of all, fans will get on his back. They are already doing that, right? Already the fans are pissed off with him. And Levy, if top 4 is out of sight, I wouldn't be surprised if he sacked him, right? So he can say everything that he wants about like going into finals. He won't survive until we get a chance to go into a final, right? Because the Carabao Cup final is in March and FA Cup final is in May. Europa League final is like in May or June, right? He won't survive until then if we keep performing like this in the league, right? So it's, for me, it's like, I'm not like, even if I finally, or even if there comes a moment where I say it's like Ange out, it's not out of like hate, it's not out of like, I just think he's like, it just doesn't work. Sometimes it just doesn't work, right? And for me, I'm on the verge of saying that, right? And the reason why I'm saying I'm on the verge is because there is an international break right now, and we have a bit of time to work things out. I know plenty of players are going on an international duty, right? But he himself has a bit of time to work things out and to try to fix that, right? And I think, personally, if he fixes that and we go into that, run of City, Fulham, Bournemouth, and whoever else we play after that, and we get like 10 out of 12 points, and he remedies the mistakes that he's making, then I can get back on board, right? But right now, at this point, if he keeps losing like that, if we have like a 50% lose rate in the league, that's not that this team is better than that. And unfortunately, I think we'll have to make a switch and find a guy that gets a better tune out of that team. And
no, look,
it's really painful for me to say that. And I think you said it yourself, right? That it's like you aren't far away from it, right? It's like you are watching this team and they are better than 10th. They are better than losing 5 out of 11, right? And guys, I have to say one thing, right? We've conceded. Sorry, I know I'm on a huge moment.
No, work away. Go on.
We've conceded in 2024. We conceded the first goal in 13 out of 15 home games, right? 13 out of 15 home games we conceded as first, right? I think we have like 22 points out of our last 20. It was like 22 points out of our last 18 games, right? Which is like 22 out of 54 points, right? I think we have like I think it's 3 or 4 away wins whole season in the league, right? Like whole calendar year, right? So at a certain point, I look at it and I'm like, we just got through the gaming 11, so we can make a case that a whole season has passed since that first like 10 game week spell that we had at the beginning of his first season, right? And in that whole like 38 game span from like November to November, we are dreadful in terms of form. We are like 13th or 14th in the league, right? In terms of form.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just suffering to watch this.
No,
team.
look. I fully understand. Like,
teams, right?
Where I'm at with it, and I'll just share my thoughts quickly, Michael. And we're gonna have to let you go because we do have more people in the background. I think you've had a lot of good things to say. Just quickly, where I'm at with Ange is, for me, I'm going to give him the first 5 games after the international break, and then I'm going to make a judge because, look, I get people bringing last year and stuff like that, but when I sat there and thought about it sort of last night, it's like I get last year. I don't give him a free pass for last year, but when I look at some of the results, the squad has changed. So I'm going to judge him more off a bite-sized sample of what I see out of this squad under him this season. Because last year he was using players and there was still rotation things going on, and you are going to have them ups and downs. But I'm going to give him a good bite-sized sample. I think what's the point in changing manager now? Give him the first 5 games after the international break. See how he gets on. If not, you've got a transfer window coming up. Bring in a new manager. He can pinpoint 1 or 2 things he needs, and then go that way. That's where I'm at with it, because I do agree with you. I do think he's got a better squad than what he did last year, although it's not perfect, and although I do think he was let down in January transfer window, or not January, in the summer transfer window, and I made that very clear. I just think he's got a better squad this year, regardless of that. And let's see how he does. Give him a bite-sized sample. I'll make my judgment. Or after the next 5 games after the international break, and I'm actually going to do a short on it because I think it's huge for Postecoglou. Absolutely huge. But Michael,
I think he wanted this question to be answered the last time Michael was on the previous fan show, and then he also didn't get it answered this time. So quickly, Michael, answer Artist T on Polish player.
So I would say in the summer, I would say Zieliński. I think he was a free agent, and if we went in for him, I think that's a lot of like experience, and he's really versatile in the midfield. But unfortunately, he went to Inter, so he's no longer available. So out of like Polish players, I think the one that sticks out for me is Nikola Zalewski. He plays for Roma, and he's like a left wing back, left mid type of player.
Plays everywhere.
Yeah, like he basically he kind of plays everywhere, but mainly he's like a touchline wing back / like left mid, and that is something that goes into my thought of when I look at this team. I kind of see more of a 3 at the back system, and I feel like Nikola Zalewski would absolutely shine as a competition and rotation with Udogi if we got him in. So if I was to choose one Polish player, that would be him. And there's a couple of youngsters that are doing really well, but I think we need more experience and more guy. There is like this Urbański guy that plays for Bologna, and I think he's supremely talented, but he's like 19. So we have enough 19-year-olds to bring through. So so I personally think that would be the guy.
Good answers.
But playing as a wing back, that has to be said. Playing as a wing back, not a left back, because I think he's similar to Udogi. He doesn't defend that well, so we would have to cover him defensively a bit. But I think he's brilliant going forward, just like Udogi and Poro. So that would be the one guy that I would.
Good answers. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it, my man.
Michael, big up. Really appreciate your time this evening. Great conversation, my man. We'll speak again soon.
More like great monologue, right?
I'll cry together soon, 1 or the 2. See you soon, man.
Next week. See you, Michael.
See
you, man. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. A lot of people really enjoyed that conversation, getting your comments in and stuff like that, and on what Ange had to, or on what Michael had to say. Sorry, not Ange, he's on my mind. Big up Timman 007. Good to see you. He says we played Leicester Palace and now Ipswich and got 1 point in total from these games. Pathetic. Unfortunately, he won't change, so we'll only go one way. Yeah, it is pathetic from the teams down the bottom. Absolutely pathetic. And either he's probably just going to have to change maybe what he's doing during the week in terms of training. Yeah, it has to be 9 points. He probably has to change what he's doing in terms of training during the week to get them motivated for this game, and what he's doing on match day. He has to try something different, Tim Man 007. That's for sure. You're absolutely spot on there. Like Jack said, should be 9 points. And Artist T, sorry, man, we did get your question in the end. Big up, Artist T. Good to see you still in here. But look, let's keep it moving. Let's bring on the next guest. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guests left to go. These will be the last 7, and then we will be ending off. Let's bring on Adrian from Spurs Diehards. Let's hear what he has to say. Adrian, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. Bearing up, stealing myself because I'm as
it's a lovely jumper.
But this is two defeats in one, isn't it? Because if you take into consideration, we made 7 changes against Galatasaray to win this game, David. Right? So it's 2 defeats in one way. Yeah. And I get the fact a lot. We go through, we seem to drag up the same sort of possible solutions after each one of these disappointing defeats that we have. People say it's lack of leaders. I'm not in that camp, but I understand where they're coming from. And people say like other things as well. But if you look at our games this season, we've conceded 12 goals on the left-hand side of the pitch, whichever way we've been facing, right? That's Porro and Romero's area. Porro was nowhere to be seen on the goals yesterday. Johnson and Porro weren't proactive for the overhead kick in the goal. And in the second goal, it was Dragusin and Porro again. This is not a coincidence. Look, Porro, I think I'd give him loads of stick when he first come for them games against Leicester and Newcastle away. He was awful, right? But he's technically a very good player. But this is not his position. This is not, and he's not a winger either, like others suggest. He's a cam. He'd be good in midfield, right? He's got a good engine on him. He's good. Yeah, I think it would be good as an attacking midfielder. Seriously, because like he could come in there and do a job. He's got the engine to do the job. Otherwise, Ange is not going to change to a back 5. That's not happening. And most of our problems have been defensively anyway. I mean, like Udogie's not had the greatest season, has he? Let's be fair. It looked like he was coming at a former weight at Man United, then sort of tailed off. Porro's not had the greatest start to the season. Dragusin's looked promising at times, positional play, suspect and all that. So our problems are in defence. And it's not like we are playing a massive high line and people are kicking balls over the top, down the flanks or through the middle and someone's running on them and scoring. We haven't scored goals like that. Against Brighton and Leicester, we've had opportunities to prevent these goals from happening, but we haven't. We're not good enough. We don't have backup.
Who's responsible for that, though, Adrian? Though I fully agree with what you're saying, but who takes responsibility? Because in order for it to be sorted out, there has to be accountability. We have to pinpoint the problem. So who's at fault? Ange Postecoglou, the coaches, or the players?
Well, there is like we have five coaches and a goalkeeping coach, don't we? Rob Birch is a goalkeeping coach. You've got Serge Raimondo, you've got Nick Montgomery, then you've got Matty Wells, you've got Ryan Mason, and you've got Milo Jedinak, right? 5 coaches and that, right? They should be doing drills with these players. I mean, to sort this out. Also, your goalkeeper and Romero, he's the most experienced. He should be marshalling the back 4, but he's got to be in the back 4 to marshal it. If he's going wandering up the pitch, you know, I mean, you got 5 goals. I mean, there's the times to do it and getting it right, and you get your timing to go forward right, you know. And then you've got Vicario, who's doing a lot more shouting now, but at the back 4. But him and Romero's a seasoned pro. He's won 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup. He is a fantastic defender. All right, he might have been a bit shaky at times this season. He's still our best defender, in my opinion, by a country mile. I actually believe that. But others will say Dragusin and whatever. So fair enough. They're entitled to their opinions. But no, I think it's our defensive woes. And we knew this in the transfer window. Where's our second quality left back? Where is it? You know, we haven't got it. Where's our left centre back? You know, we haven't got. Ange has been stymied by the fact that he hasn't had the players that he would like to play. Porro, listen, I would drop Porro and Dragusin tomorrow. I would bring Ben Davies in that side. You know what you get with Davis, right? I would bring him back in.
Why didn't he play Jed Spence, though? I know Jed Spence has been injured lately, right? But there was opportunities after the Coventry game where Jed Spence came in, made an impact, saved his job. If Porro isn't the answer at right back, why is he not playing Jed Spence then?
Groin strain.
Yeah, now, but you know, he's had opportunities this season, and you know, the Porro issue defending at the back post has been there all season.
I mean, then play. If I'm wrong about that and the timing because of injuries or not, then you play him. Obviously, he likes Porro because he goes forward, but you know, the first criteria with a defender is they have to be able to defend, and I just don't think Porro's got it in him. I don't, because he looks lost when he's at the back, as if he doesn't know what to do. He's not proactive in those situations, you know. You can blame Johnson as well, but Johnson's not a defender, right? So and at least he's back there, right? And he wasn't proactive either. I mean, the whole problem is you can go, look, there's nothing wrong with that midfield. That midfield's been the best that's played. It gets stuck in. You know, Decky, Bentancur's looking like he's back to his previous ACL best. Been playing well. Just hope he don't get a long suspension with what's coming up. Just hope he gets a warning. And Sar's look better each game he's played. More is involved. So nothing wrong with the midfield. You know, we have other issues whereby I question movement. You know, when you start a game off at a fast pace, it's usually a good game. If you start off slowly with no movement, and I can knock Romero for moving the ball slowly at times, but I can also, because I'm at the stadium, I see the patterns of play. When you don't, which you might not see on the telly, when you don't see no movement in front of them, they play sluggish, slow, all too predictable. Doesn't happen. You know, we had about 3 chances against Ipswich. There was the lovely through ball by Sonny early on, which Johnson just couldn't poke it in the corner.
Yeah,
you had Son's shot over the bar, which was saved by the keeper, and you had, what was it, Solanke's shot at the keeper's legs. I don't blame him from shooting from there, but that was about it. Yet we had 66% possession and did nothing with it. You know, I mean, but to me, it's the defence. We need to bring in, and please, not another young player. If we go for Dorgu, who's 20, all right, he's a good player. I've watched him play, Danish international, under 21 Tom. Looks a fantastic prospect. But we've got 11 players in that squad that are under 24 years of age. You're developing players and expecting success. I mean, the maths don't add up. The maths do not add up. There's too many young players. And remember, Sarr, Udogi, VDV, these are all young players. Because they've been at their club nearly a season, everybody seems to think they're mature season pros. They're not. And they will make mistakes, you know. And then
so are you giving Postecoglou then time to sort of nurture them and then going forward there, Adrian?
Well, whoever's running the club, they're going to need time because this squad is not complete. We know the obvious holes in the defence. If Spence is not a solution at right back, we need a right back, left centre back and left back. Right now, we don't know. Now, I like Dorrington like you do, right? I like Ashley Phillips, and what I've seen of Vaskovic, the little I've seen him, the goals he's scoring out of Westerlo with Divine. I mean, he looks a player, but he's 17. You know, and you're asking a manager to risk players, and then if you lose games, the fan base will be going, "Why are you playing him?" And then another time they're going, "Why don't you just play the kids?" Well, this is Premier League football. You know, having said that, I would even play Gray because I think Gray, for all the tasks he's been asked to do and positions he's played in this team, he's done okay. Even Matheus Nunes, like, give him a bit of a hard time in a City game, but Gray come out of it. So he's done all right back, left back, and centre back. All right, he got bullied in one of the Bayern Munich pre-season games, admittedly, but I would bring him into the team. I would bring him in. I mean, and I would bring Davis at the moment. I think Ange has got to be ruthless. He's got to start dropping players that aren't performing because great going forward, but like the defense has got to be sorted out, and it's not, and it's been too inconsistent. The midfield's got.
I think the big question is then, Adrian, do we need to spend a ton of money again on the back line to get it sorted out, or can the coaching staff and Postecoglou find a solution for it then?
Well, if you've got 3 young players in your back 4, I think problems will creep in, right? I mean, so we need to spend on a centre back. We need to get an experienced centre back and an experienced left back in, right? And we'll see. I mean, we've seen Spence, but how many defensive displays have we raved about Spence?
Yeah,
we're only in unknown territory with Spence at the moment.
Yeah,
technically he looks a good footballer. He got the nice goal away at Coventry, didn't he? You know, which set us up for the win before Johnson got the winner. But I don't know. I don't know much about his defensive qualities. I haven't really seen him in a tough game when he's had to defend. So you could bring him in. And he could do really well. I always want all the players to do well, right? You could bring him in and he could do really well. He could,
it's a difficult one, Adrian, because I do understand what you're saying, you know. But the thing is, we have spent a lot on that back line over the course of the last while. I think when you look at the right hand side of the fence, you could take Romero and bring in Dragusin if Romero's not playing well. You could do the same with Porro if bring in Jed Spence if Porro isn't playing well. But over the left hand side. Yes, Ben Davies has been good this season, but, for the large majority of his Spurs career, he's been bang average. And sort of like over the left-hand side, he doesn't really have the opportunity to change or tweak things down that side. So
He's
it's a
not
bit
the
of a
solution,
conundrum at the minute. You know, I
Yeah.
don't really know where I stand on that. But look, Adrian, tell people what's going on over on this channel of yours, my man.
Yeah, we got a show tomorrow. We'll be discussing the Ipswich fiasco.
I'll be listening into that for sure.
Yeah, if we're going to suffer, we might as well have a week of it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
embrace it fully.
Yeah.
So go on, people. You know, get over there. Make sure you smash the subscribe on the channel. You know, he does a lot of different sort of panel shows. You know, there's lots of different people on. You know, many people go on there. There's people that you see on here that go on there as well, like Ellie and people like that. So make sure you get over and check out Spurs Diehards and smash the subscribe button. You know, I don't know Adrian too well. You know, I know him enough, and I think he's a really nice guy. I think he's got really good things to say. I enjoy listening to him. So please get over there and check him out. Adrian, any last thing you want to say before we let you go, my man?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't see Ange being given the shove simply because you're going to rinse and repeat. And what's the new manager going to do with the players he's got? I still think he needs the January and the summer transfer window. If things have gone well, I still think the Europa League. I mean, we got Roma coming up. They're in turmoil. They had 3 managers this season. They got a temporary manager at the moment. They're in turmoil. It does get you a Champions League place if you win it. I don't see why we can't win it. I know things don't look bright at the moment after these recent defeats, but I don't see why we can't. And we're going to be in the last group come January anyway. We've got 2 games in January. So once we're through, you know, and, you know, let's knock Man United out of the Carabao Cup as well. And like, it doesn't take long to change. We're only 3 points off third, I think, or something like, you know, I mean, I know it all looks grim now, and you know, but chins up, lads. You know what I mean? I mean, like, that squad?
Do you know what it is, Adrian? Do you know what it is? I do understand what you're saying. Like, you know, a couple of wins off the back of the international break. There's only 3 points between 11 and third. You know, it could be painting a very different picture again and stuff like that. But I think that's where the frustration comes in, you know, because it's like we really could sort of grab a hold of our own destiny, you know, and it seems like we keep sort of stuttering every minute, you know. We put in €5 worth of petrol when you need €15 worth of petrol, you know what I mean? I'm trying to make it work. It's a bit annoying, but look, I just think I need this week to calm down. And look, I'll be back next week with probably more of a proposed.
I've got your point on Madison, but would Ange have brought him on if there'd been a real big rift? I mean, they might have had words. I mean, would he have brought him on if they'd had a rift? They'd probably have words, like you said, Dave. But I don't think there's anything like sort of a.
I think if there was no rift, I think he would have been on a lot earlier. That's, you know, I think that's where maybe I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I know Jack said to me they were hugging each other and laughing, you know, and he's seen that, you know. But that's just my opinion from the outside looking in. I don't know. I'm just hazarding a guess, like I said. But Adrian, really great conversation, my man. And thank you for your time and thank you for being patient. We'll speak again soon.
No, that's fine. 3 cups to win. We got 3 cups to win. Come on, sir.
Let's go. Big up, Adrian.
A lot of work to
really
do.
Appreciate that.
You.
Do you know what? Fair play to him for bringing a bit of cheer and, you know, a bit of motivation. It's in a time where everyone feels really bad and crap, to be quite honest. So fair play to the guys. Like we said, please do get over and check out the channel, Spurs Diehards. We've got the link here in the chat. Just get over and smash the subscribe button. Big up, Adrian. Really enjoyed that call, actually. Big up, Kuva. Good to see you. He says, big up, David, Jack, Adrian, and all in the chat. I'm done speculating about this Spurs team. If they want me to cheer, win games, want me to go crazy, win a trophy. Otherwise, it's just meh. Look, that's why I adopted the policy a long time ago, Kufa. I'll enjoy victory when it's there and I'll clap the living shit out of it, you know, because I know exactly what's coming right around the corner. So I'll take the small joys that I can get out of this football club. But good to see you in the house, Kufa. Hopefully you and the family are keeping well and settling in to the new area nice and well and into the local schools and stuff like that. Big yourself up. We've got Steady as Shark in the house as well. Philip PH family says spot on, Kuva, steady as shark. I'm probably not as angry as I should be because I kind of figured that Dr. Tottenham would make an appearance. Do you know what? I think everyone sort of had that in their gut feeling. You know, I sort of had that going into the Palace game. Not, to be honest, I didn't have it going into the Ipswich game. I thought, I should beat them 3 points. Palace game, I did have it. So I do understand what you're saying to a certain degree, but it didn't make the Palace result any easier to stomach either, to be quite frank. But look, let's keep this moving. The next guest we have on is Mr. Donovan Oosterreicher. Let's bring him on. Let's hear what he has to say. Good evening, Donovan. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Well, I shouldn't even be asking about it. It's pretty much a given, but thanks for having me on.
Good to have you, Donovan.
Good, all good. Look, you said you wanted to come on, you know.
Are you broken like everybody else?
Today. Yeah.
Yeah, usually I'm a positive closer. We got a big lineup ahead of us, so we're gonna have to pass that responsibility off to Dermot because I think I know Ryan's view and Daniel and Sean. So you guys hopefully can find a glass half full. But no, seriously, guys, like everything down from just a lack of fight to Ed Sheeran's smug face, that prick. I just wanted to slap him and like so badly, and I'm not gonna listen
It's
to
just
him
like
anymore.
Spurs announce his world tour there now next week. Get your tickets. It's really,
is he
really
playing? Is he playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium too?
Huh?
Do you know if he's playing at the Tottenham Hotspur
No,
Stadium?
I said it wouldn't surprise me. The Spurs are that tone deaf sometimes.
Oh yeah. No, just seeing him gleefully, the whole thing stank. It's clear to me to see that Ange ball works. When you're dealing with like lower caliber of players where they don't have the ego involved and they don't have their own kind of agendas involved. Like once heads get turned or once egos get involved in the game, it's really hard to ask. It's like the saying, you don't teach an old dog new tricks. And I'm seeing that with the likes of Pedro Porro. Ever since he was linked to Madrid and started working for Madrid in the media, his form's fallen off a cliff. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but the lad can't even do his simple 10-yard pass anymore, and he's supposed to be one of the best crossers in the Premier League. Romero, nothing really bad to say about Romero. I thought he was okay this game. But like long-winded answer for you guys there, because you did ask me there, Jack, like, am I negative? Am I down in the dumps? Like nobody wants to lose a game, right? Like that's the bottom line. And I remember having this conversation with you like a week ago, Jack. Like this game was like the must-win game, right? Like for so many reasons. So much like the Arsenal game where I came on livid, that was like a strike. I'm not going to go Ange out, but I maybe in this conversation I'll have another strike on him. Like I know the baseball analogy there,
Yeah.
So what gets me is that like I don't think that like I'm rambling here, but Dragosan had a bad game against Galatasaray. So the opportunity was either to play him back into form or to rotate him out of the squad, right? And I don't see why Davies didn't start. I called from the start that Davies needed to start.
He's having a joke with you.
Oh yeah,
he's basically saying you're usually calling in from the van. He finds it unsettling.
yeah. I usually have my shades on and the sun's behind me and I park somewhere absolutely beautiful. But the best I can do is the rain in British Columbia right now to match the mood, lad. Sorry about that. But no, in all seriousness,
you were on Ben Davies there, I think, for
and even on the pre-match call, I was talking with the lads there that. Like I thought that 2 number 10s would work perfectly in this game because we knew what was going to happen. They're going to be resolute defensive. We need that extra creativity going forward. Don't get me wrong. Sarr had a good game, though he played through it injured. But yeah, that's the first mistake Ange made, in my opinion, not having 2 number 10s. And then not having a left-footed center back at home with a crowd behind you. How many times did that ball break down going to that side, right? And so it's just so frustrating. And then once that mistake happens, of course it has to be Dragosan that gets that own goal too. He was just a deer in the headlights, He was looking around for left, right, and center. He was looking for his own short shadow at half the point, man. And so at that moment, at that opportunity, Ange needs to haul him off at halftime. He needs to put Davies in because even the subs he did make, which I have down here that Timo Werner came on, perfect game for Timo. He can run in behind. He can exploit that space, and you could see that he made a difference when he came on the pitch. But we didn't have the team set up in a way that we could fully like exploit that because every time the Dragosan got that ball, he cut back on his right foot to pass it. And by the time he cuts back, that whole passing lane's gone. And you've seen this ability where you had a left footer in that situation. It's just a one touch, boom. I could make that pass. You could make that pass. But for some reason, I don't know how much you paid on the guy. Was it $50 million, $25 million center back from Italy? Can't. So it's very frustrating.
I do hear what you're saying. It's something I pointed out in the watch along that he keeps turning inside. He's not opening himself up to that left hand side at all, and it is a huge problem. But it's that problem you could put on Postecoglou when we didn't sign a left-footed, left-sided centre back to play there. It's a bit harsh. But look, Steve Como says here, and then we'll get back to Sam. He says, "I'm not sure it's clear that Ange ball works over a full season." You said you're convinced it works.
Yeah, no, it works. But like I said, you have to have the personnel that's involved. Like we'll touch back on the point I didn't quite finish making it, that So you get Madison brought in for marquee signing, and then you don't know where his head's at right now, right? If this was a player in a lower division that still was proving himself, who still was biting at the bit, who still didn't have his own personal agenda, he wasn't worrying about his national team, he worried about his club performances, the minutes he earned, I don't think we'd be having this problem right now. Same thing with our right wing back. If we had like a young, upcoming, desperate to prove himself, almost like that Potch squad where we had, where it was a bunch of young players full of adrenaline, full of blood, full of wanting to prove themselves, you know, like we've touched on this earlier too in the pregame there, Dave, but like it seems like players nowadays just have this air of expectancy of like, we've done it, we've earned our big paycheck, we've got everything we can do, and we can go out and do these half-assed performances in this game, and it's all okay because we're going to put a emptied social media post that's already been saved in our notes that we just got to copy and paste and put on our Instagrams, and suddenly everything's okay again. And it's not okay, because now we're once again Dr. Tottenham, and we're the laughing stock of the fan base. But I'm not too concerned. Like I'm so positive about it going forward. But it was a kick in the teeth, guys. Like you can't get away from that.
No, it was certainly was a kick in the teeth. It's one that it's hard to take. It's like the Palace game, you know, the lack of energy, the lack of performance, because all Ipswich done was want it more. They mucked in more, they ran after us more. You know, and the press, us doing the press the other way, it was non-existent like it has been in, you know, recent weeks and stuff like that. You know, teams where it's coordinated together. I felt sorry for Solanke at large parts yesterday. How do you think we're going to get on after the international break with the next run of 5 fixtures come up? Man City, Fulham, Bournemouth, teams like that, Roma. You know, because I think many fans are sort of sitting here waiting to see what happens there. And then I think, you know, the last people that maybe haven't made up their mind will probably, you know, make their decision one way or the other. How do you think it's going to go? What you said, you know, you're not there yet. You still think things are positive. What are the positives going forward then that we can work on?
That we're Tottenham Hotspur and we're going to lose to the worst team in the division and beat the 4-time champions in a row. Like, come on, man, it's written in the stars, right? Like, no, I think Manchester's going to raise their game like intensely, but then again, they've lost 4 in the bounce, so we're going into a wounded animal, and we're on the bounce where like we have something to prove. They have no motivation, they have no reason to get up anymore. So we're going to see basically 2 masterminds of the game, and Pep and Ange, to see who can motivate their dead squad the best. And it's going to be a good game. No, we have a January transfer window ahead, guys. And every recruit that we've brought in so far has fit in seamlessly. And if they haven't, they've been ousted out of the squad or put in a capacity role where their minutes are either off the bench or used to their best ability. And even if Timo Werner can chip in here and there, like getting us over the line in a cup game, then I'm sure that anything brought in January will help. We got that new young guy coming in from Korea. We've requested to get him in earlier. And we got a worldy prospect center back, the new Croatian Sergio Ramos coming in. So we got lots to look forward to, lads. I'm not too concerned. And we're ultimately one of the best clubs like financially in the world. So whether we're going to spend it or not on world-class players, that's another thing. But as he's still out there, you know, there's stuff to be. I'm not like killing the project here, but strike 1.5, I guess. Like we're not quite on 2 strikes yet, because like we still are third off top 4. We're still in every cup. Like I said earlier, like my stance doesn't change. Ange still gets a full season. He still gets a chance to win his cup, and let's see what happens. But if there's nothing at the end of the season, sorry, what?
No, do you know what? I sort of agree with you. And I think that's what wrecking many fans' head. It's sort of 50-50, right? There has been some good that you can get behind, and there still can be a positive season ahead. But also, you know, if you look on the other side, there's some bad things. And I think that's the biggest frustrating. It's just like, what are we going to do here? We're going to go one way, or we're going to go the other. It's very, very frustrating. But look, like you said, I do think there are some positives you can hang on to. I think, but they'll probably only start coming through maybe late next week as we gear up for another Tottenham game. But Donovan,
yeah. So like,
I want to give you time to plug your channel again, my man, because you know people are in the chat saying you got a lot of great things to say. They really like listening to you. So what's going on over there?
This sometime early next week, I'll hop on and I'll do. I guess it is next week already. It's Monday. Wow, I guess that slump didn't go anywhere. So this time, either today or tomorrow, I'll drop on and I'll do my thoughts of the game, kind of go in more in-depth analysis and Have any questions or comments, leave them under the video there, and we'll try and get into them. But no, it's Canadian Spurs boy. I like to hop on and talk about Ange and this process of winning and how he teaches us how to be winners and trying to change this rotten mentality in a squad where, we just happened right now. And like, it's kind of ironic that I'm coming on here saying that after we just had this result, but I'm going to bounce back a couple bit here and say that leading up to this, after we beat City in the Cup and then we beat Aston Villa, I said to Jack that like the next biggest litmus test for me is Liverpool. So that's that. Like, I don't want to say words for you. You said you'd give him a little bit of time after the international break. I don't know where you stand, Jack, but for me, it's like based off how we do in that Liverpool game, we'll determine how close we can stay to the top of the pack, and also determine that like how much effort we got to throw at these cups. Because I don't want to be like a jack of all trades, master of none. Sorry to the pun, but that's what it is, right? So it's like, if we have a realistic chance of staying in the top of the league while rotating our squad, okay, cool. But if we don't, and we're obviously there's levels to this, and we're still not quite there yet, I want us to throw everything at a cup. I mean, if it would be so discouraging if we didn't this year, especially at backing after what our manager said. But no, the Ange train has stopped, man, and you're gonna hit some bumpy roads ahead. You're gonna maybe have to stop and do some maintenance work on the track. I don't know, but the train has left the station, and it's either you jump off and you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere and you get another manager, or you just stay and ride this ride to the end and see where it goes. So,
well, look, let's hope they've just stopped to grease the wheels, Donovan. And keep it on the tracks, man. But look, big yourself up, lad. Really appreciate
cheers,
it.
Lads.
Really been enjoying you on the pre-match build-ups as well, lad. And we'll speak to you again soon. All right.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good evening, Donovan. Absolute legend. What a nice flat cap he's got on, pure white as well. Absolutely love that. Big up, Donovan. And guys, please get over and check out his channel. He's a really good guy, really nice guy. Big up, Mile High Hotspur back in Enfields. Looks shame it didn't go your way, lads. A difficult one to take, I suppose. How long you staying there? Will you be there? I presume you probably won't be there for 2 weeks until the next game. But look, hopefully you're enjoying your time there. And big up, Ellie. Hopefully you're keeping well. I didn't know you were back from your daughter's wedding. I thought you were still over there in Cyprus or Greece there enjoying yourself. But hopefully you all had a great time. And good to see you both. Hopefully you're enjoying yourselves. Big up, Leo and Ellie. Hopefully you're both keeping well. And then Peter Kagaya says, Luke, he says you can't have a team who has scored as many goals if they are shit. I think a lot of our problem is mentality. Look, mentality is a huge problem, lad, for sure. And then just a harmless potato says Pep lost 4 on the bounce. Get him out, Pep out, Good to see you, just a harmless bud. Hopefully you're keeping well. But look, let's keep this moving. Let's keep rocking through the guests. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 left, and I'm not messing. This will be the last 6. I promise you guys. We can't afford to take any more this evening. It is getting late, so I do apologize. But let's keep it moving. Let's bring on the next guest. Al, are you there?
Or I think it's going to be Dermotron and then Alan. I think Alan is kind enough to give up his spot to Dermotron.
Okay, fair enough. Let's keep it going. Fair play, Al. He's been waiting a long time. Dermo didn't, so a bit cheeky of Dermo. But how are you keeping, sir?
I only ask because I'm going live in 15 minutes. That's the only reason I want.
Fair enough.
That's the only reason I ask. I wouldn't have normally asked. I would have waited my turn, and I'm very grateful for Alan. I would do the same for anyone, but it's just because I'm live in 15.
You know me. I'm only winding you up there, but you know what I'm like. But look, what's your thoughts on this game?
You're the gaffer. I have to respect the gaffer. If the gaffer tells me off, I have to sit there and take it. Look, I can come on here and slate Ange and slate the players, slate the club, slate Levy, but I ain't gonna do that because I think you can go down the road of feeling shit, feeling crap about yesterday, and I think you've got to start looking ahead. Yesterday hurt like hell. I went to bed. I fell asleep for 2 hours after the match yesterday. It drained me that much. But look, we all know. We all know it was a bad performance. We all know Ange's in-game management needs improving. It's not something we haven't known for a while, and I feel yesterday a sign for me personally, as a line's been drawn in the sand for me personally with Ange. I think his in-game management has to improve. You cannot leave it to the 83rd minute and bring on Madison and bring on 2 players to try to change the game, where before at halftime he's changed it straight away. But yesterday was fully 100% on them players. They cannot. I hope the lot don't look at them. If they look at themselves in the mirror this morning, I hope they're fucking ashamed of themselves. Because you do not go out and lose to Ipswich. Oh, fair play to Ipswich, by the way. They played very well yesterday. Fair play to McKenna. Got his tactics spot on. And we didn't try. We didn't try. We didn't do anything. You know, and I'm always coming on. Dermo's always chirpy. He's going to give the 4-0 and all this. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done.
You did give a 4-0 yesterday.
I know. I'm done.
No more 4-0s.
No, I'm done. I'm broken.
No more
club
4-0s.
Literally broken me. After they have broken me after yesterday. I needed this international break more than the team does, because we are so bloody inconsistent. It is unbelievable. I don't know where to go with it. I really don't.
Well, I don't think a lot of us do, Dermot, but I guess whatever you feel like is to blame, or whatever you think is the culprit behind it, is I guess why you're on here.
You said oh, go on.
Yeah, go on, Dave. Go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, you said like yesterday, drew a line in the sand with you and Ange Postecoglou. So what does he need to do in order to get you back on side, or what does he need to do to get you off board?
He needs his in-game management needs to improve. He needs to be a little bit. I know Ange is not the most animated manager in the world. I've known him from Celtic, and maybe foolishly, I took what he'd done up at Celtic thinking he could do that in the Premier League. But the Premier League is a totally different animal than the Scottish League. And as much as I think Ange is a good manager, he is a good manager. I just feel that his in-game management in the Premier League is not good enough. Yesterday, we were crying out for Madison to come on that pitch from the 60th minute onwards, and he waited to the 83rd minute. Why wait? If you can see something's broken or not working, what do? You're trying to change it straight away. Pardon me. You don't wait until about 5 minutes to go and then try to change it, because that doesn't give you enough time to change the game or change what you want to change. And I just think his in-game management, for me, I'm sick of hearing I'm sorry. It's my responsibility. I am sick to death of hearing it. We all know it's your responsibility. You're the manager. It's the players' responsibilities. It's the club's responsibilities. He's got to, instead of keep saying sorry all the time, he's got to prove it and show it that he is trying to change it. Until that happens, I'm now in the middle now with Ange Postecoglou, and it really hurts me because I love Ange. I know what he can do, but it's not working. He's not been backed, and the players that he's brought in are not playing.
If you were to look at it this way, Dermot, you have Man City, who are at the close to the top of the league, and they've just recently been losing some games, but they're still close to the top of the league. They have the same amount of goals conceded and goals scored as us. Is that then? But we are, of course, in a very different spot in the league. Is that down to Ange, or is that just down to the players? The fact that we've scored as many goals and conceded as many as Man City, but yet they're so much higher up in the table, who's that down to? Is it down to the manager or down to the players?
I think it's down to the players. This Premier League season is so weird because nobody's consistent, really. If you look at it, apart from Liverpool, no other team's really consistent in the league. And as Adrian said, we're only 3 points off third. But this is the seasons where you need to be consistent. When everyone else is falling around you, you want to be there or thereabouts. And I just see, I blame the players mostly. They're not following instructions. And we can all blame Rudu, we can all blame Romero, we can all blame players all we want, but they're not playing for Ange, and they didn't play for Ange yesterday. And that was the worrying part for me. They did not play for him at all.
Yeah.
And that's very worrying. If we're going to start going down that road, that's a worrying trend.
Do you think his time with Madison is toast? Do you think, they're at lockerheads with each other?
I think so. I think there's something there. What's there? I don't know. I agree with what Dave said earlier. I really do. But I think there's something there. Why wait to bring one of your creative midfielders on the 83rd minute? Doesn't give him enough time to change it. It's just a royal mess, isn't it? It's just a royal mess altogether. And I do you know what? I feel sorry for you, Dave, and you, Jack, and the younger fans that haven't seen success. That's the thing that rarely gets me. You lot haven't seen. I've seen success. I've seen us lift trophies. I've seen us win FA Cups and a European trophy when I was a young lad. You haven't seen that.
No.
And where me, I've seen it all before. It must be more frustrating for you younger fans because you want success and you probably want it now. Where us, my generation of fans my age or a bit older than me, we've seen it all. So we probably can think, okay, we can ride this out a bit. But it's like fans like yourself and Jack have only seen one trophy since 2008, and it ain't good enough. It isn't good enough, and I feel for you. I feel for you guys as well. I mean, it's not fair on you guys. You support the team as much as I do, but you don't get the joys out of it. All you've got is the heartaches out of it, and that's the bit that gets me. That's the bit that angers me. That there's fans out there have never seen success.
Look. If I let it anger me every single day, it'd really, really get me down into a world of severe depression. So I try to win at other things in life, like FIFA, to things that I do have control over that I can take into my own hands. But Dermo, where can people find you, my man?
Yeah, if you like what I have to say, we've got a surprise guest tonight. The Godfather's back on the channel for a guest appearance tonight.
Nice.
Philip's making a rare appearance, so I'm looking forward to that. I haven't done the show with him for a long time, so I'm really looking forward to that. We're live in about 10 minutes. We're only 32 away from 2K, so we would love to get there. But please like and subscribe here first. These are great lads. And as I said before, and I say again, they are the same off-air as they are on air. There's no hairs or graces about them. Dave's got no ego. Apart from he's playing EA Sports. And
when I'm playing pro clubs, I have to crack the whip on people like you.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he should be the manager. The way he cracks the whip with us, like. I mean, to be fair, I did get sent off after 13 seconds last night, and he did give me a bollocking. I did deserve it.
Well, I didn't give you a bollocking. I just gave you advice. I told you to stay on your feet instead of going to the ground. It worked.
Yeah.
You turned into a new player.
Yeah. I did. See, Dave's the manager of Spurs. There you go. Dave,
see, I'm a leader. I'm a leader. You know, that's what this Tottenham team's missing. Someone like me that'll stand up and just say it to someone, But Dermo, we got to keep it moving, my man.
Yeah,
We've got so many guests, so I appreciate your time, lad.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on, and I'll see you lot very soon. Take care.
Right.
Speak to you soon.
Have a good show, Dermo.
Have a good one, Dermo.
Yeah, thank you very much.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The link is there. People, make sure you get over, check out Dermot's channel. Big yourself up, Dermotron. Let's keep it moving. Al, very gracious. Let two people go ahead of him. Al, you're a very patient man, my man. How are you keeping?
Hey, man. Good. How are you guys doing? And before I forget, it is Veterans Day here in America. And I wanted to wish a very happy Veterans Day to all veterans all over the world and thank them for their service.
Very nice touch, Alan. Do you have any in your family, or do you happen to be one?
I do. I have family. I have friends. I'm not myself. I chose not to do that, but I respect them all.
Very, very classy of you, sir. Well, man, I hope you're able to enjoy it, with some of those friends and family, instead of having to think about Spurs, but we can provide you 10 minutes of therapy if that's all right for last night. I mean, life of a Spurs fan the last 2 weeks, right? From the highs and, of Man City and Aston Villa to the lows of this past week. It's just doesn't make sense.
It's frustrating. I would say I'm frustrated. Mostly it's just frustrating because I know I wanted to win against Galatasaray really bad. I wanted to make a statement in the Europa Cup that Tottenham was a team that was looking to win. And I thought that beating a team like Galatasaray and in their home would have made a statement. And we wound up sitting a bunch of our first team players. So I hear from everybody when I was complaining about that, they're saying, oh, well, it's because we have to beat Ipswich. And now we don't beat Ipswich. And it kind of looks like, well, why did we sit all those players against Galatasaray? I don't understand. I just don't get it. And in fact, more to the point, when we started to we brought in Solanke and Kulusevski and Sar. We started to bring in players against Galatasaray. We started to come back. We brought it back to 3-2. Had we done that from the beginning, I still feel like we could have won. And so I question those tactics. I don't know if they're tactics or who's to blame for that. Maybe Ange. But against Ipswich, I was in one of I don't know if it was on this channel or if it was on Adrian's channel, but I know I said a few times I was very concerned that we were going to take the Ipswich game too lightly, that we were going to take for granted that they were bottom of the barrel, no wins. And lo and behold, we do. Same thing against Crystal Palace. And the problem is, I don't know if that's I think it's a mentality issue. I think our players seem to play against these lower level teams like they're going to be a pushover. Almost like we deserve to win because we're Spurs and we are higher up. Look what we did. We just beat Aston Villa. We just beat Man City. But it's telling to me that when we lose against Crystal Palace, the mentality isn't there. When we lose against Ipswich as a result, knowing full well that we lost to Crystal Palace, knowing that we beat Man City, knowing that we beat Aston Villa, it just doesn't make sense. Something is definitely wrong. And right now, I think it's like a teachable moment for everybody. Everyone kind of has to sit down, air out their grievances over this international break, figure out what the hell's going on, and then work from there. And, teams like Man City, Aston Villa, the big teams, it's kind of weird saying Aston Villa is a big team, but right now they are a big team. But to play against the big teams, it seems like I know from playing in team sports, you don't really need anyone driving you. You all want to just win. You're like, I want to beat the best.
Because it's a big game.
Yeah.
Right, because it's the big game. But the mentality kicks in when you play those lower teams because you don't want the players to think, oh, they're a pushover, so we're going to steamroll them, so it's no big deal. But it is a big deal, and that's a problem. I blame Ange partially, but it's more for his against Ipswich. It's for the very late in the game subs. Why, if he's willing to take Son off at like 55 minutes or whatever against Aston Villa, why wait until the 80-something minute to start subbing in then? I just don't get it. There's a level of consistency that I think he's lacking. And it might be that he questions himself. Like, what am I doing? Which, if you're a new coach, a relatively new coach, even a seasoned coach, but you're new to the position or relatively new to the position, I can understand. But I just don't get Ange sometimes. I just don't get it. And it was I put more of the blame on the players because, goddamn, how could they even look at themselves in the mirror going, look what we just did against Ipswich. How do you feel, guys? I would think that all either they were already on international break, ready to go to wherever the sun is. They come here to San Diego, or I don't know. They're on a beach somewhere, but they were definitely not in it. And
I think the scary thing, Alan, is that most times we've seen them have a bad first half, but then they kind of make up for it by coming back in the second half, just completely blowing away a team. even when we got that one goal back, it looked like we actually still were not even playing really that well, and didn't even look that likely to go on and grab a second. That's what's really concerning to me, is that you've seen under other games where maybe we didn't play too well in the first half, but we ended up just blowing the team away, making a comeback in the second half. We did it to even Brentford, right? As a good example, maybe earlier in the season.
Yep. No, definitely.
We didn't even play well at all.
Was that not a problem though, right there, that we keep relying on, coming out in the second half to turn it around?
Probably. But yeah, go ahead, Alan. That's concerning.
It's something I know with Mark on Spurs TTID. We both talk about counterattacking play and how we point out that it seems like, I know against Aston Villa in the second half, we were a counterattacking team in that second half. We were counterattacking and we were scoring, and you could see the players were coming alive. And I don't know if that's hard-headedness on the player's side to say, look, this is how we like to play, versus Ange is kind of saying, look, this is how I expect you to play and no other way.
Yeah.
And if they're at loggerheads there, but
surely shouldn't the players though be doing what he's asking them to do? That's why he's there, right?
Well, that's where I think they might be at. I think they're probably saying, look what we did against Aston Villa. We were down 1-0 at the half, and then suddenly we were 4 up against them in the second half. So, and that's what we can do when we're not always high line, everybody's up, fullbacks have inverted, everything, play counter-attacking football. And that's really how we used to play. We used to play it with Conte, with Mourinho. We played that way, and we had relative success, but we have better players now. And it seems like when we do have the counterattack, we do really well. And I don't know if that's something for Ange, if he's hard-headed, where it's a lesson that he may not want to learn, and I'm worried about that. Is our coach someone who refuses outside help? Someone to say, look, you need to listen to me. Counterattacking football doesn't have to be the modus operandi for us, but it can be something we do sometimes when it's necessary. And, I got to imagine these Premier League managers or these head coaches, they're almost like CEOs in that way, where they have to have a certain ego just to get to that point. So maybe they are fairly stubborn. I don't know many managers that aren't really stubborn. I think of Mourinho and Conte before that. Talk to me about who might be even more stubborn, than Ange. So it's really just a question of, I think everyone's got to sit down. I put actually a lot of blame on Levy, because Ange wasn't backed. We wound up with a lot of young players. And I think this is the result of what happens when you have a lot of young players. You have a squad that doesn't have that win now mentality. And as a result, things fall down. The fans get upset. It's really not the players, especially the young players. So I'll single out Dragishin. He's only 22, and he really hasn't had a lot of starts for us. So what can we expect from him? Any more than we could Archie Gray or Bergvall or a whole host of other youngsters that we've got. This was a rebuilding season, right? This is he supposedly backed in the summer, and this was our rebuild season. So I'm less concerned about where we wind up on the league table, maybe a lot less than someone like Levy. But I'm more concerned about consistency. Consistency is the problem.
Totally.
We're never gonna grow if we remain so inconsistent. It boggles the mind. If you take, I talked to my wife, who has no idea about football at all. And I say, look, what does it mean to you that a team can beat some of the best teams and seems to lose to the worst team? She's like, what the hell's going on? Why would that happen? If you beat the best teams, you should be able to beat the lower teams. And I said, she's like, well, maybe there's a mentality issue there, because someone's not leading. And I think leadership is a big problem.
Absolutely. really agree with you, especially at the end there, especially at the end.
No, I couldn't agree more. And look, you know, I think everyone's looking at Postecoglou now, so it's up to him to roll his sleeves up and start, you know, being the leader and dragging others with him at this point. You know, that's what you got to do. You know, that's what the great leaders do anyway. If there's no one in there that's with you, you drag them along with you, and I think that's the point he needs to get to. But Al, why do people need to get over to Team Tottenham? Go, my man. We think you're brilliant, so tell them why.
Thank you. Well, I a couple months ago, I did a video about the head coach. So talking about Ange and my thoughts about his leadership. I also talked about Son and being a team captain, and is he a team captain? I'm going to be doing a follow up on that because I think we're at a good place to kind of revisit that issue. Yeah. And then I should be tomorrow on Adrian's channel on Spurs Diehards TTID.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely keep an eye out for that video because I definitely agree with you on the Son leadership. And look, no doubt we'll probably have you on in the background while me and Jack are sorting out our things, you know, for YouTube and that. So we'll definitely be listening. People, please get over. Make sure you support Al. Get behind him. Smash that subscribe button. He's got a few videos up there, a few good videos. So make sure you get across and check them out. Al, really appreciate your time, my man. Lots of great things to say.
Thanks for being patient as well.
You know, thank you for bringing a bit of balance. You know? Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Love to you guys, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Later, guys.
Have a good one, man.
Looks like he's too stressed or too blessed to be stressed, to be quite frank. You know, it looks like a lovely area.
That's
that
weird
he's in.
so far.
A lot of great things to say. Big up, Al. Guys, please get across and check out his channel. Big up, Louise. She says that's the Team Ange tactics or something I think the players can take on. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Just
sorry,
quickly.
my bad.
No, Peter Kagayas. No, you're right. I forgot about this. I didn't forget.
My bad, though.
It just took me long to get around to it, but really appreciate it. And I think Leo Coys was the recipient. So big up, Leo. Worked out nicely for you. Big up, Peter. Really appreciate the support, buddy. And then Louise says, is it Louise or Lewis? I think it's Louise. I think the players can take on, but the effort, passion is something Ange expects, but can't get from them. Consistently baffling. Look, it's not just Ange. It was, you know, we had a different dressing room. It was same under Conte, same under Jose and stuff like that. It's just inherent at this football club, unfortunately. Louise, at this point, and Al Ben says, it's not the J League or the SPL, and seems to not know how to respond to other good managers to stop him from playing. I hear what you're saying, Al Ben. But, you know, when he walked into the J League, the team he took over was bottom of the league. You know, he took them, you know, from relegation scrap all the way to winning the J League. So, you know, he also beat Pep Guardiola and Unai Emery the other day. You know, so I find it hard to get into that he's naive and, you know, he doesn't know how to respond to other managers from stopping him from playing, because he has beaten some of the best managers in the world here at Tottenham Hotspur. You know, he brought us to 5th last season. So he's not as clueless as people, you know, make him out to be, or as naive as people make him out to be, or he wouldn't have walked in here and took what he had last season to 5th. Don't get me wrong. This season is very, very frustrating. We haven't kicked on. But there is only 3 points separating, you know, the top, you know, from 3rd all the way to 11. I just think he is a bit stubborn in some of his ways, you know. The fact that he's sitting there waiting for a leader to merge. He's done that at other football clubs, and there has been players in them dressing rooms that have emerged. But you know, he was lucky at Celtic. He had the likes of Callum McGregor. You know, how long has he been there? You know, he's a natural leader of that squad. So he's lucky walking into this Tottenham new dressing room. He doesn't have that luxury. He doesn't have that sort of player. Well, actually, he does. He has Son, but Son's not that sort of guy that's going to go around and tell people home truths. He's more a lead by example guy, and that's why we're currently struggling with leadership, because right now in games like this and like Palace, like Ipswich, when it's going wrong, rather than it always be on Ange Postecoglou, some player on the football pitch also has to stand up and say this isn't acceptable. What I see is players that don't call each other out, waiting to get in at halftime, sit there like lapdogs and go, oh, Ange, what do we do here now? Where's their problem solving on the football pitch? It's not all just on the manager. Yes, he can guide them, he can give a rollick, you know, whatever else. But it's also up to them to say, you know what, this isn't acceptable. I'm going to go out there and change, you know, completely change in the second half. And I don't see that within them. And to be honest, I think you bring in another manager, the same problems are going to occur, quite frankly. I think we've had a leadership problem at Tottenham Hotspur for quite some time. Since Pochettino left, I think we've had a massive leadership problem. And look, this is where I'm just so confused right now, because sacking a manager and bringing in another one, we're only going to get a new manager bounce. We've already seen that. We tried it 3 or 4 times at this point. We've got the same sort of reaction. But it still doesn't make it right to keep a guy in the job if he's not getting the results. So it's a tough one now, Ben. Jack, what's your thoughts on it? Because I'm just confused at this point.
I just find it where Ange has, in a way, shown some of the best managers and some of the best teams a really good game and a really good performance, where we actually are kind of what we've been asking for a long time. Instead of sitting back, sitting to hit teams on the counter that are better than us, like the Man Cities and whatever teams of the world, we've actually been going toe-to-toe with them under Ange Postecoglou. And I think that's kind of what Spurs fans had wanted, when he came in here. And it is, though, I think the big concern that he can absolutely dominate certain teams and absolutely dominate certain managers. But there is just the consistency issue that in some games, though, we don't seem to be able to dominate teams in the way that we would like. We don't seem to be able to react. We don't seem to be able to make the right type of changes to get back into a game. I think it's okay if we don't start every game perfectly well. But when we don't start games well, there are times where we rely on Ange to inspire them to make a great comeback, and they do. We've seen that plenty of times where we've made great comebacks, but we're just kind of relying too much on just being kind of, I guess, this hot and cold team, times where we can just really, click and really just start to blow a team away for 40 minutes. But we just don't seem to be able to see consistent 90-minute solid professional performances after another. I have complimented Ange a couple of times for very professional wins, but I don't think I say it enough. I don't think we actually can say that we ever get over the line 2-0, job done enough under him. It just seems like we play incredible or we play pretty terrible. And I will say that's something that's definitely on the players, but certainly something a manager has to try to fix as quickly as you can, because that is part of the manager's responsibility or the coach's job.
Big up, Ben. Really appreciate the comment. He also comes back in and says the big games are self-motivated. David, look, completely agree. I was saying it to Jack there the other day. Even in my context, when I'm going to play my local rivals, and when I didn't need anyone to motivate me. I was up early, ate the right thing, all week. I was motivated, ran my nuts off and stuff like that. It is the sort of games where you sort of go in and you expect to win. You maybe slack off and don't do what you should do. And it can come back to bite you if the other team are sick of losing to you and just have that sort of day, like Ipswich, did. And look, I agree. That's where I think Ange Postecoglou needs to get a grip now in there and, come up with something different to motivate them before the game, whether do something different in that week in training, whether it's, because he done something in Celtic where, cup games were coming about and he used to practice penalties on the build-up to cup game to get the players into different side or mindset and stuff. So there are little things he can do maybe coming into these games, hopefully be able to motivate them. And I just hope he realizes that as a problem, because Postecoglou is one. He sort of allows the dressing room to police itself, motivate itself. He has basically the way he sees it. The players have to want it themselves, and then they'll start listening to me and that basically. But at Tottenham Hotspur, how badly did players want it? We're left questioning all the time. So I do think that's something he has to get stuck into, and he has to, get people to drag them along. Absolutely spot on. And then Kuva says, I agree, Dave. You can only back someone if you believe in them. Many of us aren't convinced. Look, what I would say on that is, I get what you're saying, but if Postecoglou does go or Tottenham do change to do directions, we have to have honest conversations about what is inherent at the football club and what is a Postecoglou problem. Like this one half of performances is a Tottenham problem. It's the same under Jose, the same under Conte, and many people, complaining about it. The lack of consistency. It's been here for 3-4 years. It's not just a Postecoglou problem. So if they do change direction, we really need to sort out what is a club problem, what's a manager problem. And I think, when you look at even Nuno, right? People go, Nuno's useless. Tottenham are right to sack him. He's not in the first team or sitting ahead of Tottenham right now in the league. Was he useless? Were Tottenham right to sack him, or were they impatient? These are questions that you all have to sort of weigh up and ask yourself before you sort of make a big decision like that. But big up, Kuva. But look, let's keep it moving. We are down to the last 4 guests of the evening. It is getting late, so we are going to keep cracking on, guys. Let's bring on Rhino, everyone. I want you to wish him a big, massive happy birthday in the chat. He is 33 today, same age as me. And his birthday is actually only a couple of weeks after mine. So big up, Rhino. Good to see you, sir.
I can't believe you've done that to me, Dave.
But happy birthday, man. Everyone deserves a happy birthday.
Cheers. Just before we start, though, you remember that picture I sent you of my kitten? Here she is 9 weeks later.
Just don't make her a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
Oh, she is already.
Put a City coat on it. It'd be a lot happier. Put a City coat on it. It'd be a lot happier.
No, trust me, I'm not putting anything on it. I'm just doing. Oh, hello, Mum. Mum wants to come and say hello, I think.
There
we go. There's Mum.
Lovely eyes.
Yeah. So what a great start to the weekend it was for my birthday.
Hey, having games in around my birthday, Rhino. It's always a recipe for disaster. Look, what's your thoughts on it, lad?
I'm absolutely fucking pissed off. Absolutely pissed off. The only 2 that have kept me sane are these 2.
Who do you put yesterday down on? Look, I understand your thoughts on Postecoglou, and to be fair, you made them clear a long time ago. You're not having them. Is yesterday just solely on Postecoglou, and then players need a reality check as well, right? No?
Do you know what? First of all, I want to just, before we go on to that as well, I just want to say to Al, I think it is, isn't it, Alan?
The guy that was just on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan. Yeah, Al.
Yeah. Well, can I just ask, Alan, if you're still in the chat, mate, this isn't a dig at you or anything, just asking, what are we rebuilding from? Because I'd love to know what we're rebuilding from.
Well,
because
I think maybe what I think, like, we're obviously trying to
rebuild
build
from nothing, you
trophies,
rebuild
right?
from nothing, usually.
You're trying to work. You're trying to build towards trophies, though, right? Right? That's obviously what he means. Like, we're trying to rebuild from the Pochettino. Like, we were nearly there on the Pochettino, and we're trying to rebuild from that.
But then, are we still trying to rebuild from all that time ago? Because if we are, we haven't done a good enough job. So that rebuild that everyone keeps going on about, the big rebuild. It doesn't take 5 years to rebuild a bloody thing, does it, Dave? Doesn't.
Well,
no,
right now. It does if you've had 5 managers in 4 years. It does, and that's not including interns. It does if you have the high squad turnover we've had. It does prolong the rebuild. 100% it does, yes.
You think so?
Yes. Well, okay, by your logic, hiring and firing managers to try and get instant success, why haven't we done it then, if that works? Why are we still here?
Well, that's a good point. Because Levy, I was happy with. Look, there was times when Conte did have dodgy spells, but all in all, he was the manager I would have loved to have still have had at this club. Even now, okay, yeah, it was his own fault. He's got himself sacked, but he was the kind of manager that I would have accepted to have had this.
No one accepted him, though, Rhino. No one accepted. We had him. We have the bite-sized example to go off. 99% of fans were screaming for him to leave the club by the time he left.
But that's because but that's fair enough, Dave, right? But now, right, we're playing too far up the field and we're leaving ourselves short at the back. I don't think we're, and I'm not having to dig at you, Jack, or any other fan, right? Because that's not fair. Look, you can all support the team the way you want to at the end of the day. But what I'm not getting at is, right, why it shouldn't. To be honest, I personally don't see what we're rebuilding from. Because from what I can see, right, Davo, right, we're rebuilding from something, but it doesn't seem to be the Poch era anymore, and it doesn't seem to be any era.
Because it goes back to what you said. We've got it wrong. Over time, we've got it wrong.
Yeah, of course we've got it wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and say that wasn't Levy's fault, because at the end of the day, it was Levy's fault. But at the same time, you can't just blame it all on flaming clowny Levy at the end of the day. You have to also blame the players.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the bottom line. And it doesn't matter what I think about Ange because it ain't going to change anybody's opinion. But I still don't get what we're rebuilding from. Because at this point in time, it looks like, to me, right, Dave, personally, it looks like we're trying to rebuild from nothing. Because
that's essentially what we are doing, right? Like now that we're so far into trying different rebuilds since Pochettino, when you bring in a manager, essentially you are rebuilding for nothing, but you are trying to build towards something. That's the aim of it.
But we're not. Well, okay then, Dave. I'll ask you this question. Then this will be interesting. What are we building to? Because at the moment, right from this moment that we've had up to today, yeah. What are we building to? Answer me that question because I can't answer.
Well, I can tell you what we're trying to build to. I can't speak for Daniel Levy. I don't own the football club, but from like what you're trying to do, especially in football clubs in general, should be building towards success. Trying to win trophies, trying to maintain that sort of success. That's what it's all about. That's what you try and build to right now.
Well, I get that, but what are we actually trying to succeed here? What, a good business model where we're having a multi-billion-pound club, or are we trying to actually go out there on the trophy trail to try and win trophies? What is it that we're trying to do? Because at the moment, I'm only seeing one thing, and that's the success off the.
I agree with you. That's the thing. That's the thing right now. I don't think anyone disagrees with you on that. You're preaching to the choir here. There's no one here that you're not gonna say that to, and they're not gonna agree with you. I agree with you on that. It's frustrating, and that's why we get pissed off, right? That's why we're here having these conversations, because it's like everyone's sort of just bewildered. We're in the wilderness right now. We're just flapping there with no sort of direction, and it's one of them. Because the owners made such a fuck up of it. It's led to fans not really having patience or, behind the build, to give it 2 full seasons, to a degree. And look, rightly so, fans are pissed off with the lack of success and it's starving. It's just a problem that's going to keep continuing until we can finally get over the line and get that trophy. And if we eventually do, then I think everybody would calm down a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, but Dave, right? That's fine saying that, right? That we might, if we get one trophy, but that's still not good enough. Because then, right, the reason why we are in football year in, year out, week in, week out, supporting whoever we support, whether it's Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, or whoever, right? I don't care, right? You expect to be winning trophies year in, year out. And unless you've got the backing like a Man City, they're the only ones that are going to be winning trophies year in, year out. But fair enough, apart from the Carabao.
So then what did the rest do then? Not try and compete? Did we just dissolve the Premier League, give them the title every season between now and the rest, and just dissolve the Premier League? Or did the others try and compete?
Do you know what? That's a good question. And Man City obviously are going to win it again more likely this year, right? We're not stupid, right? We're so far behind Man City, right? That they're literally up here with me in Scotland, whilst everyone else is down in Bournemouth. That's how far distance everyone's got to do to realistically catch. And I don't care whether any other person in the world, even if you're a Liverpool fan somewhere, right? And whatever, yeah, right? You're still so far behind Man City. Everyone is. It's like it was corrupted, right, Dave, from when the owners came in, and they should be out of this league altogether. I think that's a disgrace, and that's something, right, that I think every fan, right, whether you're Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, or whoever, not Man City, but any of the other clubs apart from Man City, yeah, right, would probably agree with me and say Man City should be demoted out of the Premier League altogether.
Yeah, look, I don't think, I don't disagree with you. I think many people will agree with you on that. There needs to be some proper investigation. But weirdly, the boat came away from the court case, both claiming to win. So we have to find out more on that one. But right now, before we let you go, my man, and let you go and enjoy the rest of your birthday, Jerome says, Are you for real? 17 years, we have won crap. I would give my left arm for any trophy right now. What would you say to that? Even just for one, he says. Obviously, I think everyone wants to be winning them consistently after that, but he says he would give his left arm just for one.
I wouldn't give my left arm. I don't look, Jerome. No offense, mate. Right? You can support, like I've said, right? You can support the club how you like, but I would want to see trophies year in, year out. Right arm, left leg, right leg. Even my head at this point, I would give all my.
He wants to get tattoos of trophies all over him.
Yeah, just to have trophies all over. I would. I can't understand how people would say they only would want one trophy and they would give their left arm for one trophy at this minute in time. Like, I just don't get it. Oh, and Jack, how's your happy clapping going on, by the way? Didn't even have a chance to ask you yet, mate.
At an all-time low, Ryan. I think I need an international break. My hands need to stay as far away from each other as possible.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like that.
I'm actually handcuffed from happy clapping for the next 2 weeks right now.
I love this between you two because when we win, Jack asks you how you're getting on, and then when we lose, you ask Jack. It's good Tom and Jerry like behavior. Right on.
The three cat. Well, I tell you just quickly, yeah, right. I can't even have my boy cat, yeah, right, in this room because he's literally tried to attack my female today, and she's just come out of an operation a week on Wednesday.
Jesus, it's not good, lad. It's not good.
So I've now got to keep him away, and I've had these two back not even 7 days yet. So it's enjoyable, and it's been a year since I've had her as well. A year to the day when we lost 4-0 to Chelsea.
You got a cat to commemorate it. I absolutely love it. So you'll never forget it. But Rhino, honestly, my man, I want to say a massive thank you for tuning in, and sincerely, enjoy what's left of your birthday. Forget about Tottenham Hotspur. It ain't worth it on your birthday, my man. And try and enjoy what's left of it, all right?
Yeah, well, I've got just before I go, I've been munching on my birthday cake a little bit before.
It's an Xbox controller. Class.
Oh, yeah. And do you know what, Dave? When it's your birthday next year, or Jack, whenever your birthday is, mate, I'd recommend you going out and get one of these because it's a Victoria sponge and it is beautiful. Everyone's birthday coming up, I'd recommend you to get one of those.
Classy.
Big up, Ryan. Are you going to enjoy that? Get some ice cream to go with it, and we'll speak to you again soon.
I won't have ice cream, mate. I ain't got no ice cream. I'm sticking with just the cake. It's better that way.
They're back in it. Absolutely love it. Big up, Ryan. Have a good evening, my man.
Yeah, I will do, brother. You guys look after yourselves, yeah?
Same to you, Rhino.
Yeah. Cool.
Peace, my man. Happy birthday. Everybody in the chat, get in. Wish Rhino a happy birthday. Everyone deserves happy birthdays on their birthday. But big up, Jerome. Really appreciate the support, my man. And then he also says, 3 managers since Poch. What can you rebuild with so many changes in manager? You rebuild from scratch. And if we are going to change manager again, what is the point? And I think, look, this is where I'm at. Like, you know, it's why I said I'm so confused because you keep changing managers. Yeah. You're only going to get the initial manager bounce. You know, everyone could say, this is wrong. We have to change manager. It's going to work. I heard the same with getting rid of Jose. Brought in Nuno, didn't work. Got rid of Nuno, heard the same. Brought in Conte, didn't work. Heard the same getting rid of Conte. And now we brought in Ange Postecoglou. And we're here again saying get rid of him, bring in a new guy. It's going to propel us going forward. I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of the same conversations. But at the same time, if he's not getting the results, it doesn't make it right to keep him in the job either. So it's just one of them. I just need a few days off to think about it, to be honest with you, Jerome. But we can't look. At some point, we are going to have to show patience, and I've said this countless of times with different managers. It's not just under Ange Postecoglou, so I don't want anyone to come in here and say, you're only saying that because you love Ange. It's not. I've said the same thing after different managers. At some point, we're going to have to give a manager 2 years in the job, 2 full seasons in the job, and then take it from there. But big up, Jerome, my man. Really appreciate the support. And then he sent in another one here, Jack. He says 17 years. My bro, 17 goddamn long years. I've not seen one. All I got from Spurs is heartbreak and embarrassment. I think it's what we all get, Jack, right? That's our thank you card.
No, it is. Spurs, in fact, are the long wait, Jerome, and it probably just shows. I don't even know what we do with ourselves when we eventually, if hopefully, get to see us win that trophy, Jerome. Do we just spontaneously combust or something like that? Just every part of life is just finally achieved. No more reason to just go about watching football anymore once Spurs finally win a trophy for us. But yeah, man, it's been a long years, and I bet it's been very painful for yourself, probably more so than it has been even for me. I think you've definitely had to really go through a drum, because I can see you're a lot like Dave, very, very passionate as well. And I think you really do care about this club. And I wish, some of the players got to see that more often, kind of what it means to a lot of the fans on a weekly basis, like yourself. You seem like a busy guy, got a lot of stuff going on, and you want to see Spurs kind of be that little enjoyment that you can have, on the weekend, alongside the many other things that you have to look forward to. But Spurs are just constant little annoyance, really, than they ever are that sort of saving grace or that thing that can make the weekend. And when it comes to the building with the managers, just quickly on your other super chat, that's where I'm at, man. I just think, we once again don't really have a squad that I don't think is capable of challenging for a ton of trophies or anything like that. Maybe we have a chance of pushing for one or the other. We have a very, very young team that will take a lot of years to develop into a real complete side. We don't have a ton of leaders. We're still looking to fill certain other parts of the squad. Like Ange Postecoglou is in a very similar position that previous managers were that we sacked, that, in my opinion, also didn't have all the tools at their disposal to be truly, I think, kind of given the shot to actually achieve what we want, which is trophies. So, that's where I'm kind of at with it. It's just frustrating, then maybe if the manager loses a ton of games, you do just have to probably move on. But it does feel like, once again, a manager, in this case, Ange's, case, just doesn't really have everything that he needs, I think, yet to, really be successful this year. So I think it's, once again, frustration.
And Jerome, if you do decide to have any more kids, my man, tell them to go and support like Argentina or Brazil. They win regularly. Man City, something like that. Whoever has the most money at club football, tell them to go and support them. It saves a lot of conversations later on down the years. Why did you do this to me? Why did you make me support Spurs? It hurts. Saves a lot of that hassle later, Jerome. But big up, my man. And good to see you, and hopefully life is treating you well down under. But look, guys, let's keep it moving. The next guest we have on, I believe, is Daniel Larson, if I'm correct. Daniel, are you there? Let's bring him on here, what he has to say. Daniel, good evening. How are you, my man?
I don't know.
Broken, man. Broken.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, I was calm, but I feel like it could range really quickly now, to be honest. So,
where are you at on the Ange Richter scale right now?
I don't know.
It seems to be a Richter scale. It fluctuates from week to week. Where are you at on it?
Yeah, you were Ange in last week, but then you said you were gonna pay the price for that, and look what you've done, Daniel.
Yeah,
you gave your heart to Ange, and he's chewed it up, spit it out.
I mean, I don't know, really. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I don't even know if I should, because I'm speechless. And I mean, we've seen it before. We always seen this, but for me, it's like, how many times do these players want to get embarrassed? When is it going to stop? When it's like, do they like getting embarrassed? That's what I feel like. They actually like getting embarrassed. They get some sort of like fun. It is a fetish for them.
Yeah. No, I agree, Daniel. I mean, games like this, you just think the players have just gotten so used to, I guess, just going through the motions, and once they get an embarrassing defeat like this, they don't really see what it means to the fans themselves, like, and what it means to us, like, just how kind of just floored and dejected we feel like sometimes after games like this. And when you really start, and like you did, when you really start to try to believe, really start to try to believe in what they're doing, and then they have put a performance in like this, sometimes the players maybe don't understand kind of what that looks like or what that means for the fans.
Do you know what, Daniel?
It's mental torture. It's mental torture.
It is insanity. It is the definition of insanity. It's like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That's insanity. And that's being a Spurs fan. It's being fucking insane.
Do you know what, Daniel, though? I don't think any player wants to go out and get embarrassed. I think
what the fuck is this shit? Are they, they're just shit then. They're just crap then.
let me finish. Look, I don't think any player wants to go out there and get embarrassed, right? But I do think, because every player comes through wanting to be the best, wanting to win the World Cup, wanting to win trophies at Wembley, every young lad that's played out on their football estates, on the streets, all come through with that dream. But a lot of them professional footballers all started out on their estates and on the streets and stuff. They all come through with the same ambition. However, when you get paid the money they do, sometimes you forget about, what your ambitions were. You lose sight of them and you hit a comfort zone. And I think that's a lot of the problem at Tottenham Hotspur, to be quite frank. They're allowed to hit a comfort zone. They forget their ambitions. They don't really take our ambitions on. They sort of come out, say stuff at the start of the season, get us fans hyped up, and then don't deliver on it.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. But
Ange said as well, though. This is where I will. He said it's my fault for the inconsistency. That's what he came out saying. What do you mean by that? Why are we so inconsistent then? What's going on? That's what I want to know about. This is his word. What are you doing? What are you saying to them? That's what I want. Oh, don't worry. This is an easy game. We're gonna win this game. Don't worry. Is that what you're saying? I'm so baffled.
Well, I think he answered that after the Palace game, didn't he? Where he spoke about, the leadership, the lack of, and, he's trying to grow it and stuff like that rather than buy it. And, it's killing us, man.
Also, yeah, I'm sick of it. And then also Sonny coming out after the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
all I can say is Sonny. I'm so fucking bored with all this shit. How many times do you want to say that? It just is.
That's the thing. I wonder did the players get sick of coming out and giving that message every couple of weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, getting absolutely bullied by Ipswich fucking Town.
I know.
We couldn't lay a glove on them. Couldn't lay a glove. They lapped bullying our defenders. I remember he ran into Romero. Romero he's become so weak now. I'm sorry I said that. He needs to get that aggression out of him. I wish he got that back, because now there's nothing to him anymore. He doesn't have any. He's weak down. Dragusing, Jesus Christ, what's that? Another Sanchez Dyer, like everyone. What the fuck?
Daniel, let's answer Jerome here. People in the chat give your opinions as well. He says, people don't get the meaning of painful rebuild. There are going to be ups and downs, but those players have upset me on Sunday.
They're up and downs, but my God, how many downs do they need to be, really? Unacceptable downs, because they've been that Palace, the Brighton, and this result is unacceptable. I don't care if it's a real build. You should beat at home, especially Ipswich Town. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think that's what Jerome is maybe trying to get across, though. I agree with you. It's unacceptable, and I think every fan has said it's unacceptable to lose these sort of games. No one's making any excuses for it, but I think maybe, to try and get Jerome's point across for him is maybe he's saying, like, this happens in rebuilds, that there are going to be games that you expect to win that you lose for whatever reason because it's not perfect, and he's trying to get it to a point where it is perfect. I think that's the point maybe he's trying to get across.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm not smart enough to understand all this, so I'm just going to, let everyone else, whatever.
No, it's basic. He's just saying, basically, yes, there's games that we expect to win, but in a rebuild, you're going to have these ups and downs until it gets to a point where it does become consistent, I think is what he's trying to say.
Sure. I don't know. I got no brain capacity left.
Your brain has been melted after
that. You want to answer, Jerome?
I feel like, yes, as Spurs fans, we probably don't understand what a painful rebuild really is, because, to be honest, we've sacked the manager at any point. It really did start to get painful, or it really did start to, feel like you're kind of lost in where the direction is. And I just, Spurs, we just are very conditioned to eventually just seeing the manager get the sack and us kind of continue on with the same set of players until it's eventually refreshed again, usually far too late. And I don't know, we haven't really technically gone through a proper rebuild of any kind from start to finish since, I guess, Pochettino more or less took over from, Andre Villas-Boas and previous managers before then. But it just doesn't really feel like, us as Spurs fans, we can say that, we can confidently point towards there being, a painful rebuild that we've really successfully gone through, maybe other than Pochettino, which definitely had maybe an element to it. But with Ange, it's taken maybe more time than what Spurs fans might want. And that's okay. I think Spurs fans, are rightfully so, looking to want to see improvement and want to see a steady, logical trajectory, which hasn't been the case with Ange Postecoglou. But I don't know, Dave. That's my thinking. Is I just don't think Spurs. We haven't been conditioned to understand what a real rebuild takes because Levy hasn't given us that chance.
Well, that's the thing. It needs to be defined. How many seasons? Because everyone is left to make their own up interpretation, right?
Correct.
Some would say 6 months is long enough for anybody to walk into a job and implement what they want to do. Some people would say, look, sport's a bit different. It takes a bit longer. Some people would say a season and a bit is long enough. Some people would say you've got to give it 2 seasons, So everyone has different interpretations. So, it comes down to, I think you're right. And again, we've said this before. It comes down to Levy putting something out to the fans saying, look, this is the guy. We're going to have him here for 3 years regardless. We're going to stick through the process. And until he does that, everyone sort of has their own definition made up of how long the rebuild is, Jerome. So, Jack's right. It does have to come from the ownership. They do have to come out and, let fans know, or at least communicate with the fans, because they're well able to communicate that they're playing Beyonce there or the boxing there or the NFL there. But when it comes to clarification around the football and the project, you don't seem to get any. It is a problem, Jerome. But Daniel, anything else you want to say, my man?
I mean, I had so much, but then everything's just disappeared. Jesus Christ.
Blind with rage, lad. I don't blame you.
Yeah. No, it was just, oh my God. Honestly.
So let me ask you, what do you make of the substitutions yesterday Ange made? There's a lot of uproar about that.
Yeah.
He brought on Werner, a lot of people saying, why leave it till, 88 minutes to bring on someone like James Madison when we're dying for a goal? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, the changes should be happening at halftime, at the start of halftime, definitely. I mean, I don't know how you don't see how you cannot make changes then. And then you wait until, I don't know, I can't remember now. 60th, 70th, I can't remember. Werner. And then, of course, the first thing Werner does is giving the ball away. Oh, that's great. That's amazing. Oh my God. And then Bissouma, what the fuck is he going to do? He's been awful all season. And then people are saying, I've heard some rumors that people think Madison and Ange is falling out. And I'm like, really? That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't know. Maybe I have part to blame in that. I just put out my feelings on Twitter yesterday. It seems to gather a little bit of pace. I just want to clarify that. I just put out what my own thoughts is. I haven't heard anybody. No one's come tailing to me about what's going on. Nothing like that. It's just my opinion from the outset. He didn't play against Man City, which is your biggest game of the season to date. Didn't play against Aston Villa. Only came on with a couple of minutes to go at the end to bang the free kick in, despite him being the freshest out of everybody and us making rotational changes. And he doesn't come on till 88 minutes yesterday. I'm sorry, but that screams something's not right there between the two. Screams of it.
To be fair, I didn't hear. It wasn't you that I heard that from, to be honest. So.
So is it out there in the media? Have you got media?
Yeah,
source?
no, it was. It's someone else. It's not a YouTube. I'm not going to mention anyone. But yeah. So.
Fair enough. I was going to say, because I did put out yesterday. I said, how long will it take before rumors come out of a rift? But Daniel, anything else you want to get off your chest before you let you go, buddy?
I mean, what the fuck? I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't have anything, to be honest. I just shouldn't really come on today, to be fair.
No, we like seeing you, Daniel. And also, thanks for hanging out with us on the Big Up, when you come on. And it's nice spending the Saturdays and just sort of hanging out with you and chilling out and sort of relaxing. So, appreciate you, man.
But yeah, I mean,
sorry,
I thought I would have more, but it's just gone completely blank.
No, your brain is melted by Spurs. Happens to Dave and I all the time. But hopefully work isn't so stressful this week, man. But it sounds like it could be. But
it was not a good day today. I was really stressed. So I'm going to hit the sack right after this. So
yeah, you're dead right, lad. Go and sleep
Take
it
care
off,
of
lad.
yourself.
Forget about Tottenham.
That's what I needed to do. Because if I didn't, I would have just lay in bed like, oh, what the fuck?
Staring at the ceiling. Yeah, I gotcha.
So it was kind of good. But I'm sorry for not being completely You know.
No, look,
we like seeing
and
you,
make
man.
sure
We
you
like
come
that
on
too.
again next week. You know, it's like every week you come on, you have good stuff to say. You know, I get it today. It's sort of like, where do you begin to unravel? I fully get it.
And you're
So
passionate
big up,
as well.
Daniel.
Yeah, I just want to see this club. I mean, you know, idea how much I want to see this club succeed. My God, nothing more. You know, something. And it's just so when you see inconsistency left, right, and center, it's just, you know, yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
No, I get you, man.
Because I even said after, like, I typed when we were like 10 minutes, 20 minutes into the game, oh, this is kind of like deja vu Palace, as sarcastic, and then fucking real.
I know.
Turned into fucking. It's mad. It's absolutely mad.
That's saying lightning doesn't strike twice. It seems to strike twice when you're a Tottenham fan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But look, Daniel, I definitely share the sentiment. You know, we all just want, we all have so much deep love for this club. We just want it to be successful, and it hurts. And I think, you know, you didn't say much, but I think, you know, that sort of thing you said at the end actually says a lot. You know, you sum up the way every fan is feeling. So, Daniel, go to bed, my man. Forget about it. Dream of happy things. You know, movies, Pamela Anderson. I don't mind what it is. Just dream of happy things. And
Sabrina Carpenter, hopefully.
There you go. Have a good night, Daniel.
Daniel. Have a good one, my man. Bye-bye. Big up, Daniel. Not usually lost for words. Shows how upset he is today. I feel feeling for him and every Spurs fan, to be quite frank. We are down to the last two guests of the evening. You got Shawnee, and then we've got Paul to close. So let's bring on Shawnee. Let's hear what he has to say. Big up, Shawnee. How are you, sir?
Okay. I mean, I haven't been thinking too much about the Spurs game. Very frustrated kind of after that, and just back into a bit of an apathy. At this point, I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna hope Poch does okay in the international break. Try and enjoy some of those games. College basketball season starting up, so my team tends to do very well in terms of Duke. Is a powerhouse there, so I'll have probably something to cheer for a little bit if Spurs are in the dumps.
Well, we all need distractions.
Yeah, I was only complaining to Jack. You know, I don't even have that release from other, you know, because I obviously Ireland, they're shit. You know, then you go on to my GAA team, Kildare, they don't win anything, they're crap. You know, I have a lifetime of misery. I don't get that joy that you get or that release you get from other sports, Sean. So you're lucky in that regard. But look, I mean, where do you want to start? You want to start where you are on the Ange Richter scale? You know, you're sort of up and down every week, depending on the result. Where are you today?
Yeah, that's a good starting point. We got to update everyone. I mean, it was in my video. I'm back to Ange out again. It's been hit or miss. I feel like every once in a while he kind of deals with like one of my grievances, and I'm like, oh, I'm seeing some progress, and then we're back to him kind of almost reverting from some of the progress that he's been making. And again, I think my biggest complaints with Ange at the end of last season was he wasn't doing quite as much to bring through the youth. I actually think we're seeing that a lot more, especially with the Europa League and those competitions. So that's no longer something that I'm quite as kind of bothered by. Again, I think he's at least rebuilt a bit of that pathway from the academy. But kind of my long-term problem, and I think the more I mean, a more concerning one, I think, is maybe the word for it, is his in-game management. Again, I'm watching the game go south. We're all watching on the watch along. We can all see it. It's looking the same as kind of what we're seeing in that Palace game. And he just sits there, doesn't change anything, waiting for something to change when it's clear the players can't be bothered, or at least the ones on the field can't be bothered. And something needs to change. And Ange is the only person in that position who can change something at that point.
Let me ask you this, Sean, because I've heard this a lot. And look, me and Jack at times are on the watch along screaming, it needs a bloody change. We're just sleepwalking into a defeat here. So I agree with you. But why won't he change it sooner? For me, it stinks of someone that doesn't trust his bench, similar to Conte. You know, I was saying, Christ, under Conte, he's too stubborn. He won't make enough changes, you know, in-game management, this, that, and the other. And it was clear he didn't trust his squad. You know, but we knew that when he left. He sort of told everybody, you know. So, you know, why? Is it a guy that's being stubborn, or is it a guy that just doesn't trust his bench?
I mean, I think he's being stubborn because we've seen some of those guys go on and perform well for him. Again, Spence saved his job, and when Porro was having his worst game of the season, Ange refuses to take him off. It's almost like he can't recognize the problems. And again, it's kind of more of one of these where even if you don't have full faith in that guy on the bench, if you know it's not going to work on the field, you might as well throw the guy on the bench out there and see what happens, because it wasn't getting better. Again, it's kind of sitting there, and you're like you said. I think the perfect analogy was sleepwalking toward a loss. If you're going to lose anyways, you might at least tried everything you can. And that's the frustration. Again, even if he doesn't fully trust Bergvall and Gray, they're young players. They'll at least benefit from those minutes and maybe develop into players that he can trust. Sitting there not using them isn't furthering their careers. If the players are going to lose the game anyways, we're in the same position, but we haven't improved the squad down the line. Again, if we're under the conception this is a long-term rebuild, he has to start playing those and rebuilding or kind of building that squad for the future. And again, I think some of the frustration is that what we've seen is that he was willing to eventually make changes. So it's kind of, if you're going to make those changes at 80 minutes, why aren't we making them at 60 minutes?
Yeah. There's that feeling that Ange trusts that his players will sort of kind of will themselves, or I guess, figure it out themselves. Is that just a wrong approach, do you think?
It's naive. We've seen that hasn't happened. So why is it going to magically happen this game?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's that kind of frustration of Ange is the only person that can change it. And when it's clear that whatever's on the pitch is not working or broken, I don't care if you don't think, if you're not 100% certain that maybe the other guy on the bench is the right thing, it can't get worse.
And you know what? That I agree with. That I actually do agree with. It's like, how do you expect to earn trust of players if you're not, like, if he keeps putting them out there and he keeps getting the same thing, you know, I think fans will go, but you know what? He's just not good enough. That I can't pin on Postecoglou. I think they'd be fair with that. But, you know, I think you asked the question, if he does it at 80, why not do it at 60? He does it at 80 because it stinks of to me that a guy, he's just going, you know what else have I got to lose? I'll roll the dice. You know, I don't trust him, but I'll roll the dice, see if one of them could pop up and produce a bit of magic. But I do agree with the point that, you know, he has to make them changes earlier, try and put that belief in players. And, you know, and if it doesn't happen, then it's evident there for everybody to see, right?
Yeah, no, again, I think it's that kind of stubbornness and that unwillingness to kind of change things when it's kind of like, clearly this game plan isn't working as intended. Because, yeah, we've seen when Ange ball is working great. And again, I don't think it's 100% or fully a tactical thing. I think Ange ball is a workable thing, but I also think that Ange doesn't really deal with players not performing. There needs to be a meritocracy. And the way you establish that is by pulling players off the field. Again, if Kulu's is having a terrible game, you put in Madison or you put in Bergvall and say, hey, here's your chance. Can you do better? And again, the problem I have is we're going to walk into that next game after the international break with this same team.
Probably beat Man City.
That just let us down. Well, yeah, no, but again, it's kind of there's no long-term or there's no memory about, oh, this guy just couldn't be bothered to press. We got outran by 4 kilometers in that game. If you walk in and say, hey, you guys couldn't have been ours this game to go and put in performance to do your job that you're getting paid for, then you have to go and bench them. I don't care if it makes the squad slightly worse. I would rather we play 11 guys that will bust or just everything, that will run into the ground to try and get a result. I mean, Ange, if those first team players are unwilling to put in the effort, go pull the whole starting 11 from the academy and send a message that this is not acceptable. Where, again, I think it's probably an extreme, but again, he's letting this slide, and it's frustrating. You need that meritocracy. And again, the problem I have is as soon as we kind of go into this next thing, he's going to put out the same players, and we're going to have the same issues. There will be a day where they just can't be arsed. Again, they might get pulled together for one performance, but we're getting stuck in this pattern. And the only way to break this pattern is to change the personnel to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, again, pulled Matters out of the team because Matters wasn't doing whatever he was asking him to do to some degree. He wasn't pulling defensive weight. He put him out of the team. But so yeah, you're seeing that he's willing to consider the meritocracy, but then he won't stick with it. Like when Porro's having his worst game of the season and Spence is sitting there on the bench, there's no way Spence could have played worse than Porro at that moment. And I think that's the frustration. Is I feel like at this point, again, I'm Ange out. I don't see him as a successful manager for us in the long term. I also don't see any great managers available right now. So I think you stick with Ange for the rest of the season. And then you go in proper for a manager to come in the summer. But that being said, you don't wait until June. We don't do a Nuno appointment again where you go in the middle toward the end of April and you go get that contract signed. So June 1st, that manager comes in the door ready to go. And at that point, it doesn't matter if you're effectively making Ange a caretaker manager. Ange can recognize if, hey, you're like, this isn't, we don't think this is working. At the end of the season, we want to go away. So I think Ange is professional enough to do his job for the rest of the season. But I think you really got to start looking, because I don't see his in-game management as good enough at this level to win us the Premier League, to win the Champions League, to win these top trophies.
Absolutely. All right, Sean. Hopefully we see you on the sticks later for some FIFAs.
I mean, I'm already on. Playing a bit of FIFA. I'll be definitely back on for a bit tonight.
Good man.
But
all right.
Yeah, no. Again, losing sucks. We all want to see Spurs be well, and again, I think we all have to just remember that is, regardless of where we are on kind of the Ange in, the Ange out spectrum, the high line, that kind of whether this is the right formation. We're on the same team, and we got to keep it kosher with each other. Again, getting mad at each other isn't going to solve any of Spurs' problems. Again, if you want to be mad, go be mad at Daniel Levy for not spending money go yell at him on his social media. He probably won't listen to you, but yelling at other Spurs fans isn't going to resolve anything. You got to let people support the club how they want to, with given that they're not disrespecting other people.
Alrighty, Sean.
Keep that in mind as we're struggling through this week.
Good final words. Good little notes of encouragement. Most good lessons to have. Don't need to go after each other. Absolutely right. Well, Shawnee, we'll see you on the sticks later, my friend. Appreciate you, sir.
Sounds good.
Have a good rest of your evening.
Come on, you Spurs.
See you, man.
Come on, you Spurs. See you, Shawnee. Get on pro club. Might get on pro clubs this evening. Let you know, my man. But good to see you, my man. And look, makes valid points, about Ange needed to change it. He's more than entitled to his opinion about Ange. Not seeing Ange being able to bring you success here. That's fair enough. So, guys, let us know where you are on that in the chat. But look, let's keep it moving. We are on to the last guest of the evening. This is the last one we will be taking. And then your boy needs to get off because I don't want to be eating dinner at 11:30 tonight. So let's bring on Paul and let's hear what he has to say. Long time no see, sir. Where have you been? Where have you been hiding?
You've been hiding. I was in last week.
Oh, your audio's a bit. Your audio's a bit.
That better?
Yeah, much better. Much better.
I do that at work. I leave my mic up there, and the customers can't hear me, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Oops."
Sounded like something out of Star Wars there for a minute.
Yeah.
How are you keeping anyway?
I'm good, mate. You?
I'm frustrated with Tottenham Hotspur, Paul. Very, very frustrated. Speak sense to me, my man. Talk to me. Give me some logic. Where are you at with everything?
To me, there's three things that I've seen, and this has been since the start of the season: leadership, consistency, and arrogance. The arrogance of our players is astounding. They go up against Leicester in the first game. They nearly lose. Coventry was another prime example. We nearly went out the cup. Then we did it against Palace. Now they've done it the same against Ipswich. It's arrogance against the lower league teams. It always is, and it always has been a problem. Look at previous seasons in the cups. We play lower league teams or lower division teams, and we seem to struggle. For some unknown reason, we seem to struggle. We've been a scalp of a few clubs. Wycombe Wanderers springs to mind. It's kind of, it's the arrogance in the club, for example. It just seems it's amazing to me. They don't want to go out and win every game. But it's like I said to Jack last week, Man City, if we played Man City every week, we'd probably win the league. Because they'd be up for that game every single week. Whereas, we play these lower division teams, lower teams in the league, teams we shouldn't be struggling against. And these players are just, oh yeah, we're going to win this. It's easy. They don't even get off the team bus. And then all of a sudden we lose. And they're like, oh, well, how did that happen? And they go, oh, we're really sorry about that. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of hearing the same thing year after year after year. And for me, it's not the manager, it's the players on the pitch. It's, whatever manager we've had, and I even bring Poch into this as well because he had the same. We get to a Champions League final, we go 1-0 down and we do absolutely nothing and just sit there in a Champions League final. So this has been, this the only thing we are consistent at is being inconsistent because we always do it. For some unknown reason, we just seem to fold or not turn up for games or just think, oh, this is in the park or we've got this far now. Yeah, they'll be happy. That's where the leadership comes in and we need those players to drag those players through games sometimes, because not every game's easy. No game is easy in the Premier League. But look, you need...
I agree with you when it comes to the leadership, right? You need those leaders, but Ange just quite clearly come out after the Palace game and he said, them leaders aren't there. So then, who then has to now take ownership? Ange, Postecoglou, Levy, which one of them has to show the leadership if it's not in the squad? So who's it on then?
For me, it's got to come from the coaching staff as well as Ange. Ange is not, he's not the single person behind the scenes in training. There is a whole coaching staff there as well that should be, doing this as well. You know, it shouldn't just be down to one manager, one player to motivate them. It should be from a whole club perspective. For me, the whole coaching staff needs to get behind them. Everybody needs to push and like, you know, this is unacceptable, you know, and if they keep doing it, fine them. Half their money for the week. You know, that'll soon stop them, you know, not showing up, but I can't see them doing that. But be nice for them to do that, but yeah.
Oh, well, how much longer are you prepared to give Ange? How long do you think he needs to be able to show whether he is good or good enough for this rebuild, Paul?
To me, though, it's not so much of as everyone keeps calling it's a rebuild, and I don't see it as a rebuild. I just see it as the underlying issues at the club that have been there for years. Like I put in the chat earlier, the last time we won the league was 1962.
Yeah.
Out of all the teams we've had and all the players we've had, was 1962 was the last time we won a league. So what's different then? How is it any different? So if Postecoglou wins a couple of cups, great. You know, we were always a cup team. We've never been a league team, ever.
Yeah, look, yeah, look. I suppose you know you look at the evidence. I'd probably it's hard to say you're wrong there. So for you, then he's got to guide us to cups, then, right?
Yeah, I think that's where the winning mentality's got to start somewhere. You know, if you don't win something, it was like I think Ryan said earlier. Oh, we wants it consistently. Yeah, but where does it start? You're not going to win 4 cups in one season. In the first one will do for now. Then next season, let's push on and get another one. And then start building that team to, get that winning mentality, that consistency that we're all screaming out for.
Yeah, build the culture of winning as well.
Yeah, we've got to get across the line in at least one of the cups this season. I don't mind which one it is, whether it's the Carabao, Europa, or FA Cup. Any one of those 3 will do for me, because then they'll get that winning feeling. They'll get what it's like to win. At the minute, we've only got Romero, who's won a World Cup. I can't think of anybody else in that team that's actually won domestically. There probably is 1 or 2.
Son has a couple of Asian Cups, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like domestically, like in Europe, like Serie A champions, or
probably only Bentancur.
Probably only Bentancur.
Madison has one. Madison and Bentancur are probably the most winning of players, maybe from previous clubs.
Yeah. And again, if they're not passing that on to the younger players, then they're not learning. So I just think at all costs, as long as we finish mid-table, we're not fighting relegation or anything else like that, but we win a cup, that secures this European football for next year anyway, regardless. So, go all out for the cups and literally get that winning mentality into their heads.
Well, look, we know the finals of the cups, right? They're not till what, April, May? Will Postecoglou be in the job long enough to get there?
I think so. I think Levy's learned his lesson from sacking managers 18 months in. In that sense, it doesn't work.
You don't think he's looking at the situation right now? Because Shawnee was saying, if I was Levy, I would be looking at, or potentially exploring other opportunities or sounding out people. So you don't think he is?
Well, no, but I don't think so, because as you pointed out, we're 3 points off 3rd place, even though we're sat in 11th. That's 1 game. It's not like he's like 12 points off for the top 4. He's still well within reach of that top 4, which is, we all know that's what Levy wants. But yeah, I can't see it personally. He's too close, and there's a lot of inconsistent performances recently from various teams that you wouldn't have expected. So yeah, I just can't see that even being on the table, to be honest.
It'd be interesting. I don't think it's on the table right now either. And quite frank, I think he'd probably analyze it. What, late December maybe, or middle December if he's starting to think about it. I think it's too early maybe now. I think he'll probably give him up until maybe that Man United game, that Liverpool game, and then maybe look to analyse it. But I agree with you. I don't think it's on Levy's cards right now for sure, despite maybe what the fans are feeling about him. Jack, you have any questions for Paul?
Paul, I just was going to ask if you actually think Ange can win a cup. I know you said that very well, that's what Spurs need, and that's what, the type of team that we are, but whether you actually had faith in Ange doing it. But yeah, I think Dave kind of asked a similar question. The constant thing with you, Paul, is, you've always been very good at calling out the players, not always just calling out the manager every single time. I know you put a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. Is it kind of becoming a little bit more difficult for you to do that game after game? Or are you pretty still confident that the players are just, once again, just letting down managers?
Yeah, I just think that the players just keep not only letting themselves down, but letting the manager down. And it's always the manager that pays the consequence from it. Right. Look at the summer transfer window. How many players we got rid of is a testament, and we can still field basically 2 first 11s if we had to. Yeah, they're not the best players in the world, but that just shows you how bloated our squad actually was. And then to me, they were all average players. They were good players, but they were average players. They weren't world class, and I get sick of hearing that. All our players are world class. We've got the best defense in the league. It makes me cringe, to be honest, because if these players were that good, we wouldn't be losing against Palace. We wouldn't be losing against Ipswich. So we might have the best defense in the league, yeah, because we don't let a lot of goals in certain games. But we've lost 1-0. We've lost 2-1. We lost 1-0 to Arsenal. So all these games, yeah, we've lost them, but we've not lost them by much. But half of that is because we're not turning up, or we're not finishing our dinner.
And where does the motivation become on then for these players to turn up? Because it is an inherent problem. Last year we didn't turn up against the big games, or maybe we were just outplayed. But this year it's the smaller games. We teams down in relegation zone. That we're not turning up for. Where does that motivation come from? Then is that players that have to have it within themselves, or is it up to the manager?
A bit of both. I think the manager needs to state that these sort of performances are totally unacceptable. But then you've also got the captain should be getting involved in that, same as Madison and Romero. They're all supposedly part of that leadership group. It's up to them to be motivating these players, especially the youngsters, that this sort of performance isn't acceptable. They need to come back and they need to go back out in the field. And we all know how good they can play, which is the frustrating part of it all. It's not like we're constantly losing. We've seen them play really, really well with these tactics, with this squad. We've seen them do it, but they very rarely do it for 90 minutes. It's always 45 minutes or 30 minutes here. It's never full on. And from what I understand of his football, it's relentless pressing. We never stop. Constant. You're on their heels. The minute you lose the ball, you're on your heels. You're at them straight away. But we haven't been doing that the last few games.
Was definitely missing against Ipswich. I definitely agree with you on that. At times Solanke's bursting, he's not pressing 1-2 players, looking around, and everyone's standing there looking at him. I definitely agree with you with that. And it was similar last year, right? The first 10-game start we got off to, we pressed high. That's where we got our joy. That's where we won. I was saying that many games after, we've stopped doing the press high up. Why have we stopped doing it? This is why this is why this is happening to us. This is why we're losing so many games. It's when we press and we're on the front foot and we're going at teams turning ball high up over in their half, we're absolutely great and it works. But when we sit off them ever so slightly, or the press isn't coordinated, that's where we get undone. And you are right. But I'd make the argument, it doesn't matter what system you play, you have to be at 100%. I think there's this notion that if we were to bring in a more defensive-minded manager, that somehow under his tactics, you can take your foot off for 10, 20 minutes and that you're not going to get punished.
I don't believe that. I believe in a 90-minute game of football, regardless whether you're an attacking team or a defensive team, so-called, or someone who just plays it around and hits on the counter. I think you play every single style of football in 90 minutes. In 90 minutes of football, that team is going to get an opportunity, regardless of how good you're playing.
Yeah.
Look at the times when we played Man City. We've had a couple of chances, but we've scored them, which has put us, even though they've dominated us all game, it just takes that one chance and putting it away. So this is where this system is supposed to negate that by we score 2 or 3 which gives us that cushion for when they do get that opportunity, they're going to score.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen a single game this year where one club has not faced a single opportunity in a game. It just doesn't happen. There's always going to be an opportunity, no matter how good you are, no matter how good your players are. There'll always be that opportunity for the other side. It's just how lethal they can be.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Oh, well, Paul, anything else you want to say before we let you go, my man? Really good calling. Really enjoyed this.
I just want to see from the summer transfer window, I think now I even said it when we signed one player, and I don't count the likes of Archie Gray, Bergville, all these other players. We signed one player, and that was Solanke. Where's the rest? You know, where are these players that we were promised that were coming in, you know, that was going to seriously strengthen us? Where are they? You know, and I don't want to hear, oh, we haven't got the money for them. We haven't got it. Before in the summer, it was, oh, we didn't have the squad space. Well, we have now, because we can't even fill the full 25 in Europe. So how about we rectify that in January in the summer coming up? That's what I want to see. I want ready-made players now. I don't want these 18, 19-year-olds that are going to take time to grow in. I want ready-made players now that are better than what we've got, that can step into our first 11 and push us forward.
Do you know what? I definitely agree on that. Just quickly, I think when it comes to the summer transfer window, despite what Postecoglou said, you know, taking the sort of onus on the players coming in, I think he's going to do that so that the players that did end up coming in eventually, they're not going to be alienated like what Conte done to Jed Spence, right? Where he says he's not my signing. You know, he made that very clear. Postecoglou does that. He loses all the signings that have been brought in to help his squad. So he has to play a 5D chess. And I think to a degree, he has to come out and say what he said. But it's clear to me when you see what Paul O'Keefe put out, Tottenham refused to pay Eze's wages. Conor Gallagher, the same thing, and we're pissing about with Wolves over Pedro Neto, trying to offer 7 players, you know, instead of paying a transfer fee. It's clear that something went wrong in the transfer window. We had to pivot, you know, and I think, you know, if we did bring in Eze, if we did bring in Conor Gallagher and Neto, even though, look, I wasn't sold on Neto because of his injury crisis, but even if you brought in Conor Gallagher and Eze, despite what fans think of them personally or whatever, I definitely think they would have aided to what we are doing this season and probably would have helped put more points on the board. And that's where I do feel sorry for Postecoglou. I think he's been the victim of a change at Tottenham in terms of, you know, people that's overseeing negotiating the deals and bringing them in and identifying the players. You know, getting rid of Gabbanini, who was the last guy inside the club working off Paratici's directive, was a huge mistake. Now we're stuck there at Johan Lang. Obviously, we couldn't get the big deals done, whereas Paratici was getting them done. And then we pivoted to bring in youngsters. You know, it's not good enough. But Paul, absolutely great call, my man. I will give you a ring towards the end of the week. It was on my to-do list because I was sitting there, like yesterday, or was it the day before, I was sitting around and it was like, I haven't seen that fucker in a while. I wonder, is he all right? So I will give you a call towards the end of the week, my man, all right?
Yeah, no worries. I'm off Thursday and Friday.
Appreciate you, Paul.
Of any day.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
No worries.
Cheers for chatting with me last week as well. Appreciate you, Paul.
That's always love a good chat, Jack. Me can't stop talking.
I love it. I love it.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Legend. Oh, a lot of good things there to say for Paul. I do like Paul. Good to see him back around. Big up DJ cases. Unfortunately, Spurs have been a stepping stone for a lot of players. So many times over the years, Romero, Van de Ven, Doji will be no different. Unfortunately, I blame Levy for not building around. I think that's an absolute fair point. And then someone did put in a comment earlier that, yeah, Connor, look, I've said this to multiple people. Things happen in life, you know, stuff like that take you away from what you were doing and stuff like that. You never need to explain it to us ever, my man. Just good to see you back. And hopefully you're keeping well, Connor. Absolute legend. Big yourself up and really appreciate support. And even popping in, lad. Really do appreciate that, man. And then we've got this from Jerome. Says, big up, boys. Going to work now, but great show as always. Also, big up the Hotspur Hood. Thank you for debating with me today, even if we don't agree on Ange's position right now. Look, first of all, hopefully you don't get too much banter in work. Hopefully, you know, they don't support football in the work you're in. Hopefully it's like cricket or AFL or something like that. A little bit different to take the heat off you. But look, go and have a great day. Forget about Tottenham and go make the bread, my man. It's more important. And look, to be fair to Dan, I actually don't mind debating with Dan whatsoever. You know, he'll sit there and listen to your point of view and he'll give his point of view. And I think, you know, from whatever I've seen with him or my experience, it's been very, very respectful. So fair play to Dan. No problem with that whatsoever. And guys, do check out the Hotspur Hood, you know, do go over there and check him out. And look, everyone needs a bit of a debate, Jerome, and I think it's healthy, quite personally. I don't think, you know, sitting there just having one side and listening to that all the time, it does no good. It doesn't even do yourself any good. You have to listen to the other point of view, have your opinions challenged. Sometimes it might change them or sometimes it might make you double down in your belief. But that's the way I am. So big up, Jerome. Really appreciate the support, brother. Jack, anything you want to say?
I just think Jerome likes the crack of, you know, just have a good debate back and forth. You know, I think he's that sort of guy. He enjoys the back and forth of it. And like yourself, Dave, and like Dan, very respectful, you know, when it comes to it. And Jerome, looking forward to hopefully getting you on at some point. Like I said, I know you're busy with life, a lot of stuff going on, but we'd love to have you on for one of these fan shows. Or if you want to send in fan cams, be happy to upload those as well. You know, you can do that if you ever have the time for it, but big up to you, man. Appreciate you. And you've been very generous to us over these years.
No, absolute legend. Go and enjoy yourself, Jerome, as much as you can in work. And you know what? If they do rip into you, just put in earplugs or earbuds. That's what.
Just say the game. There wasn't a game this weekend. Say, you know, international break, and just pretend it's 3 weeks long. Just pretend it's 3 weeks long international break.
Put them in and block out the haters. But big up, Jerome. Enjoy your day, man. Don't let Tottenham get you down. Oh, but Jack, before we go for dinner, anything you want to say to the masses out there before we leave?
No, other than yesterday, I almost tore out my shoulder or something like that. That's how weird of a day it was with Spurs. You know, I was sleeping after waking up crazy early in the morning, you know, for the game, and then ended up taking a nap later on, and you know, nearly dislocated my shoulder. You know, trying to get up out of the bed, which just shows how weird of a day it was, and how much, in a way, I am kind of looking forward to international break. Before that, I wasn't looking forward to international break. I kind of want to see Spurs continue to play, want to see us continue to smack teams and build, you know, a good sense of momentum under Ange Postecoglou. But to be honest, after that against Ipswich, all the momentum that I thought we had, all the momentum that I thought we're building has really just been kind of sent back to a standstill again. So, yeah. That's what international break is for. Take our minds off of it a little bit, but also just give ourselves a little break and see if we can build momentum, you know, again at some point.
If anyone does want to watch an Irishman suffer, make sure Sunday, Ireland, England, get over to the Big Up Network. I will be doing a watch long. I've actually roped Jack into the suffering with me. So if you want to watch us suffer more and you are sadistic and you do like that, make sure you get over there on the weekend for that as well. That's the next game of football we were watching. Basically, what I'm saying is, international break ain't going to do me any favor. I have further suffering ahead. But guys, honestly, I want to say a massive thank you. Look, nobody likes losing, but everybody was respectful with their opinions and stuff to the end. Look, that's what I absolutely love. I have no problem. Either side of the coin, be who you want to be. You know, let's just respect each other a little bit, and fair play to everybody. 2 weeks to stew about it. Don't worry, me and Jack will have plenty of stuff coming your way. Hopefully we'll have a debate show tomorrow evening with Sam and Johnny as well and stuff like that. And look, go and enjoy your evening, or what's left of your evening, depending on where you are in the world. And see you back here tomorrow. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the Big Ange, I still trust, like I said, still give him time after the international break, first 5 games. But right now, in Big Ange, I trust. If we get a new manager, I say the same thing. Come on, you Spurs. See you soon, everyone.
Come on, you Spurs. See you guys soon.
I better go and have dinner with the missus. She's been waiting for me. She's probably not too happy. See ya.